from other Spanish-speaking countries.
Recapping the top story, an 18-year-old man has been arrested for allegedly trying to rob 3 DA members of Parliament in Philippi outside Cape Town yesterday. For SAFM News, I am Anne Musa.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Good morning. A couple of broken down vehicles to watch out for around KZN1 in Durban. N2 going north just before you get to the gateway exit through the roadworks. The left lane is currently closed there. And some delays around a broken down truck at Town Hill. So leaving Pietermaritzburg on your way to Hilton and Howick. You've got an additional closure in amongst all that roadwork as well. Gauteng looks all right this morning. No major problems. Some roadworks earlier at Marlborough Drive, which were causing delays on the N3 South, appear to be lifted. Cape Town, another very misty morning. N2 Khayelitsha, R300 Kales River, N1 Brackenfell, Kraaifontein area. Thick mist in places. Drive carefully, please. It's probably the heaviest on those highways, but the mist lingering across the city. And still no traffic lights right in the heart of Elsie's River. Jan van Riebeeck, 35th Avenue, Francie Fun Sale. Lights still out there. It will be another busy run through that junction this morning. With your traffic updates, I'm Rob Byrne.
The Morning Brief, Monday to Friday, 6 to 9 a.m. The Morning Brief, Monday to Friday, 6 to 9 a.m.
Good morning, John Gericke with you through till 9 o'clock. It is the Morning Brief. Tulas is off this week. Good to be along with you today. Treated to a moonrise of note this morning. As I was driving in, I travel mostly east on the way into work, and it was a beautiful low crescent moon that was still red as it was rising. There were a couple of stars. I want to say one was Mars and one was Venus. I don't know. I didn't double check, but it was a beautiful moonrise this morning. So if you were awake just after around 5 o'clock this morning and you looked out to the west, it was hopefully you joined me in checking out that beautiful moon. Sometimes you're treated to these more early morning spectacular views. Not quite sunrise yet as we make our way to work for 6 o'clock, but it's good to be along with you this morning. I'm in a positive mood. Let's see how long that can last today. Let me tell you what's coming up in the program. In a moment, in our international story, we're going to hear about the thawing of tensions between India and China as the Chinese foreign minister in a 2-day visit to Delhi called on India and China to view each other as partners rather than adversaries. We're going to see what all of that means. In Gauteng, there you might have seen this, and the worrying thing about this is my old high school, as the Gauteng education MECs condemned a violent clash between Westridge High School and Hoërskool Roodepoort. Knives were involved. The headmaster of Hoërskool Roodepoort stabbed in the hand. Other learners as well were injured, taken to hospital. It's one case of many in South Africa where learners are becoming more and more violent. And this is a little subsection of what is happening in South Africa. So we're going to talk about what is happening in our learning environments, that we have this kind of violence. And it's hitting home quite tightly because suddenly in the Facebook groups that are normally very quiet, your old high school Facebook groups suddenly got quite busy yesterday. It's my old, I haven't been there for years, and maybe I'll avoid going to my old high school now if there's stabbing incidents happening, but we're going to talk about that today. Cyril Ramaphosa facing legal pressure from the Association of Regional Magistrates of Southern Africa. They want, the AMSA, the magistrates, they want a 34% salary increase for magistrates. The court is a deepening tension between constitutional obligations to uphold judicial independence, we'll find out why, and the need to contain the ballooning public wage bill. You give one group of people a 34% salary increase, that has a ripple effect. It might ripple across not just the legal fraternity, but to everybody that's employed by the government. So we're going to talk to the president of the Association of Regional Magistrates of Southern Africa. First of all, why do they feel they need 34% salary increase and what effect that will have? Then we have lots to talk about from Parliament today. There is the Portfolio Committees on International Relations and Defence. That is the one that's got to do with the SANDF chief general who went to Iran. They're worried about this lack of coordination. Is what's happening between the defense And the diplomats, what is going on? Why is there a different foreign policy objectives? We're going to catch up with the chairperson of the Portfolio Committee on Defence and Military Veterans. Then the ANC Chief Whip has put up a fight to prevent the ad hoc committee probing Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi's allegations from dealing with classified information. So we'll get an insider's view on what is happening there. There's a whole question about what they can and can't hear. If the information is classified, can the people in that ad hoc committee hear that information, or will they have to go through a vetting process for classified information? And then sort of related to that, tensions rising within the ANC, and we'll talk about all of these things together in one long conversation. What is going on in the ANC after Malusi Gigaba and Senzo Mchunu publicly criticizing the ANC? Fikile Mbalula, Secretary General, coming out strongly against those two individuals. They say that it was unnecessary and a threat to internal democracy. But we're going to talk to an analyst about what is happening in the ANC today. And I see one of our regular guests, Dr. Breakfast, has got involved in that conversation as well. Later on in the show, did you know, I didn't know until I read about this, in Kleinfontein, out in Tshwane, there's an informal settlement, a self-declared Afrikaner-only community east of Pretoria, and they have accused the city of Tshwane of targeting it for removal. City of Tshwane says that Kleinfontein is not following processes and that whatever it's been zoned for is incorrect, and they want to change things there. So we'll talk to the Tshwane MMC for Human Settlements, Aaron Maluleka, and we'll find out exactly what is happening in Kleinfontein. Can they, can't they? Who is in the wrong here? Then we have some good news to finish off. Hopefully, there's one that we've been pushing off for a little while now. The South African Medical Association have a groundbreaking collaboration aimed at transferring healthcare delivery in the province of KwaZulu-Natal. And then also, we hear bad news all the time about SETAs, aren't we? Boards and members and finances and billions of rand that is disappearing. Well, here's some good news. The Chemical Industries Education and Training Authority, CHIETA, has secured its third consecutive clean audit, a full 100% performance score, leading transformative investments in digital skills and green economy training. They are good news stories. You need to dig really deep, and our producers have, and I'm looking forward to that conversation. It's 12 minutes past 6. Good morning.
Taifa Stars have a mandate to book a place in the semi-finals, but the Atlas Lions want to impress the Moroccans with a win. The East are up against the North. This is the quarter-final encounter of the Total Energies African Nations Championship 2024. Catch the glittering clash between Tanzania and Morocco this Friday, 22 August at 7 p.m. Live everywhere for everyone, always on SABC+. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport. For the love of the game. Keeping your family healthy this winter can feel like a daunting task. Try the Lung Shield range. It includes capsules to support healthy lungs and immunity, a syrup for kids that supports the immune system and promotes lung health, and an effervescent with 13 essential ingredients to optimize immune function. Put your family's health first this winter with the Lung Shield range. Available without a prescription at leading pharmacies. Lung Shield, prescribed by doctors, recommended by pharmacists.
Bafana Bafana will host Nigeria in a FIFA 2026 World Cup qualifier at the Toyota Stadium on Tuesday, 9 September at 6 p.m. Tickets are now available nationwide and online from 70 Rand for adults and 40 Rand for children at all Ticket Pro outlets, including Spar, Postnet, and all petrol stations. Get your tickets early to avoid disappointment. Come in Bafana Bafana supporter gear, ready to sing for a win. Gates will open at 3 p.m. If you are not in Bloemfontein, catch the game on SABC2. For more information, visit safa.net and at Bafana Bafana on all social media channels.
You are listening to The Morning Brief.
The Morning Brief in brief. And Melissa Buta's here. Melissa, morning to you.
Morning, John. How are you?
No, I'm all right. Thanks for asking. Did you see the moonrise this morning?
No.
Ah, you see, you came to work late.
That is way before my time.
It was beautiful. All right. I'm talking SETAs later on. You've got the bad news about what's happening with SETAs.
Yes, so Higher Education Minister Buti Manamela has placed 3 sector education and training authorities under administration due to years of corruption, mismanagement, and poor accountability. New administrators will run the entities for a year following damning reports reports and whistleblower revelations, irregular appointments, wasted funds and failed projects, including a 13 million rand non-functional biometric system at CETA were key issues. Links as well have emerged between CETA and NSFAS and former officials involved in questionable tenders. So it will be interesting to see how the minister deals with this and what the outcome is in future.
Now, what is going on with this rhino story? Fascinating.
Quite an interesting development, in the rhino poaching crisis in South Africa. John Hume, a South African who bred the world's largest rhino herd, was arrested on charges of smuggling endangered rhino horns. 6 people face charges including fraud, theft, and possible racketeering and money laundering linked to a scheme involving over 900 rhino horns worth millions destined for illegal markets in Southeast Asia. The suspects allegedly obtained permits fraudulently to trade horns domestically while funneling them abroad. Hume had bred about 2,000 white rhinos before selling his ranch in 2023. The arrests come after 7 years of police investigations into wildlife trafficking, and South Africa is home to 80% of the world's rhinos. And the poaching, crisis continues to be a heavy one in Africa and South Africa.
Yeah, and they're slowly disappearing, slowly. It's so sad. Then I thought this rand manipulation case was all finished and over's good overs. What's happening?
Oh no, it's far from over. The Constitutional Court heard yesterday, the Constitutional Court heard the Competition Commission's bid to overturn a court ruling clearing major banks of wrongdoing in a decade-long rand manipulation case. The Competition Commission argued that there is strong evidence that several local and international banks colluded to manipulate the South African rand between 2007 and 2013. The case, initially brought forward in 2017, alleges banks shared sensitive information to influence the rand to dollar exchange rate. Citibank and Standard Chartered have already admitted their guilt and paid their fines. However, 13 banks, including JP Morgan, HSBC and Standard Bank, they remain in the appeal. The Commission seeks to overturn a January 2024 ruling by the Competition Appeal Court, which found insufficient evidence and questioned jurisdiction over foreign banks. However, Advocate Tembeka Ngugai Toby said the case shows a global group of banks worked together in a way that harms South Africa's control over its own economy and asked the Constitutional Court to hold them accountable and to move forward with this case. So we will see how it goes this time around.
That's a story we're going to keep a close eye on. Melissa, thank you very much.
Thank you, John.
SAFM is streaming live now on Facebook, YouTube, and X at SAFM Radio.
It's 18 minutes past 6. Good morning to you. John with you in for Tulas. Let me tell you about your weather this morning. Fire and extremely high fire danger conditions expected over the central parts of the Northern Cape, Makwasi Hills local municipality in the northwest, Lanesburg and Beaufort West local municipalities in the Western Cape, as well as Dr. Beyers Naudé local municipality in the Eastern Cape. Pretoria, Johannesburg, Vereniging today. It's just a perfect day today. Pretoria, fine 9 to 27. Johannesburg, fine 9 to 26. And Vereniging 9 to 25. It's also fine. Mbombela, Polokwane, Mahikeng, Vryburg, Bloemfontein, Kimberley, and Uppington all going to be fine. Mbombela 13 to 24, Polokwane 12 to 26, Mahikeng 8 to 28, Vryburg 4 to 27, Bloemfontein 4 to 24, Kimberley 3 to 26, and Uppington 5 to 28. Cape Town today will be cloudy. Morning fog, as you've heard with Rob. Light rain from this evening. It's going from a low of 11 to a high of just 17 with a light to moderate northerly wind this morning. Otherwise, it'll be a fresh northwester. George is going to be fine with a light and variable wind. It'll become moderate northwester from the evening, 9 to 22. Gqeberha is cloudy this morning, otherwise fine. A light northwester at first, otherwise a moderate northeasterly wind. It'll become a fresh southwester in the evening. East London is fine. Did I tell you the temperatures? Gqeberha 8 to 23. East London's fine. A light northerly at first, otherwise a moderate to fresh easterly wind. It'll become southwesterly overnight, 10 to 21. Durban is cloudy. Some isolated showers and rain. It'll become partly cloudy this afternoon. The wind is a moderate southerly to southwester. It'll become easter to northeasterly in the afternoon, 16 to 21. Richards Bay is partly cloudy, some isolated showers and rain in the morning, a moderate to fresh southerly to southwesterly wind. It'll become a moderate easterly to northeasterly in the afternoon, 18 to 24. And Pietermaritzburg today is cloudy, some isolated showers and rain. It'll become partly cloudy this afternoon from a low of 12 to a high of 21.
Top Sport with Michael Abramson.
Right now, let's chat MTN8 action, and really thrilled to have in studio MTN8 ambassador Brent Carlso. An amazing career, who played for so many clubs, represented the national team as well. How much are you missing it these days?
Yeah, well, when once you retire, you miss football. You miss that everyday, day-to-day routine. But look, I've been retired now for I think 12 years, so I'm sort of used to not being a footballer anymore, but still very involved. So I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying sort of life after football. Currently coaching at a school called ESCA in Wanderers, so It's actually a sports school. So we've got like a football academy that runs through the school, and we obviously try and create pathways for the kids in universities in the States and the UK and so on. But they're talented kids, so yeah, that's what I'm busy with now.
Top Sport on SAFM. Worldview Update, bringing you closer to international or global news.
2-day visit by the Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi to Delhi, and they've called on India and China to review each other as partners rather than adversaries, a new cautious but notable thaw in ties between the new nuclear-armed neighbours. Significant moment in India-China relations that's deteriorated sharply over the 2010-2020 Galwan Valley clashes. Professor David Monyai is the Director for the Centre of Africa-Chinese Studies at the University of Johannesburg. Prof, good morning to you. Thanks very much for joining us. Tell us about this shift in tone. What do we mean?
Yeah, good morning, and to all listeners. This is a major progress, given the fact that this is countries with the largest population, number one. Number two, with long history in terms of ties, and the most important global south countries. And their history somehow also has a lot of dynamics in terms of they've had wars and they've huge differences, yet they're some of the strongest partners at the same time. So there's a lot of contradictions. But the recent visit signals a shift, not just between the two countries, even at a global level, that there's a realignment of trade as well as political relation among states.
There are those difficult borders between India and China with Bhutan, Nepal, Tibet is in there as well. There's a lot of dotted lines on the maps of the world. Are those border disputes coming to a thaw?
There has been progress along the borders. In the past, they had two wars, and the recent, 2020 conflict, which resulted in 20 Indian soldiers and 4 Chinese, has been a major, which has literally shut down not only the border, no flights between India and China. And their relationship, even though they will meet within BRICS, it appeared that India was much going more to the United States, while China left alone, strengthening the global south on its own. And this recent visit was reopening this border and visits among Indians and Chinese, with more likely increase in trade. And this has a huge implication in geopolitics, given the fact that the United States wants India to be on its side, facing China on so many other things, including the South China Sea.
Yeah, and part of that was India buying Russian oil. Is the US imposing tariffs on India because of that?
Indeed. Both countries also buy oil from Russia, and they appear much more closer to Russia. But beyond the oil issue, there are also other issues that shows a shift. India is very currently disappointed with the United States in its own tension with Pakistan, and it appears that India perceives that the United States seem to be getting more closer to Pakistan, and that coupled with hefty tariffs from Washington, India does not see any need to continue to be closer to the United States in its own tension with China. And therefore, I think India wants to stand on its own and have a relationship with both the United States and China.
This was a foreign minister's visit. Do you see the heads of state getting involved in the conversation soon?
Oh, indeed. There is the Shanghai Security Organization taking place at the end of the month, and chances are very high that the foreign minister's visit is an opening up and paving the way for Prime Minister Modi meeting President Xi Jinping. And it's historic. The last several years, the two countries haven't been visiting each other at that level, and therefore we are getting into a new phase, not just for China, India, but for the global south as well as the world.
That was going to be my next question. There are two big players in the BRICS nations. So what does this mean for South Africa?
South Africa is close to both countries, and I think South Africa also, and the entire continent, wants to see peace, and it's so difficult for South Africa and the continent to take sides on tension among bosom friends. And therefore, I think seeing this rapprochement, I think it's good news for South Africa as they continue. And in light of November G20 summit, it will be also a positive move to ensure that both countries somehow work hand in hand in South Africa to ensure that the G20 is successful. That is going to be held in.
And what do you imagine Donald Trump will make of this thawing of relations between China, who has difficult times with, and India, who, as you say, is standing up to the bully?
I think it demonstrates that countries, like individuals, they constantly shift in terms of friends. And they are not just driven by anyone who is bully, as in the case of President Donald Trump, but they shift their interests, and they always act in protecting their interests. So in this case, it appears that the United States has taken quite a negative move in its own relationship with India, and that will benefit China and the global south in a way, in strengthening and approaching the United States in a common position on issues of trade and other geopolitical issues.
Professor David Monyai, thank you very much. Director for the Center of Africa-China Studies at the University of Johannesburg.
This is SAFM Sport with Zai Khan.
And it's a very good morning to you. For Kaizer Chiefs fans, your team is perfect after 3 games. Gaston Serino's brilliant strike from distance in the second half, sealing a 1-0 win over Richards Bay at FNB Stadium. The new signings, they watched on as the team stayed intact at the top, still yet to concede this season. In the meantime, Sekhukhune United also remain unbeaten following a 3-0 demolition of Orbit College in Dobsonville. TS Galaxy putting on a show as well. They are leading a charge. They had a 4-1 victory, and that was over Chippa United. Over in Polokwane, Rise and Shine secured their first points of the season, nipping past Siwelele 1-0. And in a spirited KwaZulu-Natal derby, Durban City and Golden Arrows settled for a 1-1 draw. And we also have good news with cricket. South Africa have stormed to a commanding 98-run win in the first ODI against Australia in Cairns, taking a 1-0 lead in the 3-match series. Sent in to bat, the Proteas put up 296 for 8, marking the highest ODI total at the Kazali Stadium. Aiden Markram's 82, Temba Bavuma's 65, and Matthew Britsker's, he had a brisk 57, definitely laying the platform. But it was the spinner, Keshav Maharaj, who swung the match, claiming a career best 5 for 33, triggering a dramatic collapse as Australia lost 6 for 29, eventually being bowled out for just 198. Let's hear from Keshav Maharaj.
Yeah, it's special. I didn't know that, so thanks for that. But yeah, I think there's a lot more that I want to learn and a lot more for me to sort of achieve in my career, especially with the team, and try win more trophies together as a nation. So it's a nice feather to have the cap, and hopefully I can keep raising that bar for spinners coming through in our systems.
The team heads to Mackay for ODI 2. That's on Friday, and the Proteas will be looking to keep the pressure on. And tennis, world number one Jannik Sinner was forced to retire during the final of the Cincinnati Open, and playing partner Katerina Siniakova removed from the US Open mixed doubles draw. The withdrawal comes a day after illness forced Sinner to concede a defeat to rival Carlos Alcaraz after going 5-love down in the first set of the Cincinnati final. Now, the statement did not address his participation in the mixed doubles that was organized, but it does bring doubt over whether he will compete at the US Open. The pair were replacing Sinner, and Siniakova will face Switzerland's Belinda Bencic and Germany's Alexander Zverev. In the meantime, Venus Williams returned to the Louis Armstrong court. Didn't last long. The 45-year-old partnered fellow American Riley Opelka in the first round of the US Open's mixed doubles competition, but it was Karolina Mukova and Andre Rublev proving too much, winning 4-2 and 5-4. That's a wrap. We'll have more sport. That's here on the Morning Brief at the top of the hour. I'm Zai Khan.
Good morning, I'm Anne Musa. In the headlines, the Alexandra Magistrates Court in Johannesburg is today expected to deliver judgment in the bail application of the accused in the DJ Somebody murder case. Katiso Katie Mulife is accused of ordering a hit on the celebrity DJ whose real name is Opa Sifoka. An 18-year-old man has been arrested for allegedly trying to rob 3 DA members of parliament in Philippi outside Cape Town yesterday. And 3 suspects have been killed in a shootout with police in Mamelodi in Pretoria. Police received information about suspects who were in possession of illegal firearms at a house in the area. I'll have details on these and other stories at 7.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Joburg, first up, very heavy on the Mike 1 North route this morning. You've got the usual backlogs coming through Gold Reef City to Braamfontein, and then straight away you're back into another queue, which is heading very slowly towards a crash involving a truck and 2 vehicles by 11th Avenue in the Houghton area. So basically from sort of Gold Reef City all the way up towards Houghton, it's jam-packed. The N3 going north is slow to Van Buren, a crash on the R59 at Michelle Avenue northbound, slowing traffic, and those roadworks on Rondebolt Road causing delays northbound this morning, coming up towards the N17 through from the Sunwood Park area. A couple of stationary trucks around Town Hill to watch for in amongst all the roadworks. If you're leaving Pietermaritzburg on your way through to Hilton, that's a little bit slow. And Cape Town, just some generally heavy pressure on a very heavy misty morning again. The mist lingering and laying quite thick around sort of Kraaifontein, Brackenfell on the N1, up the R300 from Delft through to Brackenfell, and the N2 inbound Macassar, Khayelitsha. I mean, the mist is quite widespread, but that's the real sort of heaviest, real poor visibility part of it. And as a result of that heavy mist, everything's going a bit slow, as you would expect, as you have been over the last couple of weeks. Has been intermittent misty mornings, and I'm afraid it's one of those again today. Also, very heavy out of Mitchell's Plain. Looks like another overrun of the roadworks overnight at Samora Michelle. M7 out of Mitchell's Plain, backlogging almost as far as Morgansteer, which is quite heavy. Rob Byrne, SAFM Traffic.
The business update on SAFM.
And it's a good morning for the first time in a long time to Ray McClucker. Morning to you, Ray.
Good morning, John. It's been over a year now, so
Really?
what a lovely homecoming.
Well,
yeah, indeed.
Welcome back. Quick update on the business. I see the rand manipulation. We heard Melissa talking about that earlier, making big news in the business as well.
Indeed, this matter goes back to 2017. Back then, the Competition Commission accused more than 10 commercial banks of manipulating the US dollar, South African rand currency pair. Banks based in South Africa and overseas, including Standard Bank, First Rand, Nedbank, Bank of America, JP Morgan Chase, and many, many others were accused of manipulating the rand over a decade ago. And the Competition Commission has approached the Constitutional Court to appeal against an earlier ruling that dismissed currency manipulation charges against some of the banks. And this matter was heard yesterday by the Constitutional Court. And the Commission, the Competition Commission that is, it insists that banks such as Standard Bank, First Rand, Nedbank and others have a case to answer over rand manipulation allegations. And now the Commission has argued that it has evidence proving that most of the banks conspired to manipulate the rand and their actions allegedly harmed South Africa's economy. And now the banks in question have denied all wrongdoing. But this is like a merry-go-round, John.
And the tariffs are going to hit the rooibos industry. Didn't even think of that.
Yeah, rooibos is one of South Africa's proudest export. Rooibos is exported around the world, including the US, and the local rooibos industry is worried about the tariffs recently imposed by US President Donald Trump. The South African Rooibos Council, this is a body that represents the rooibos producers, it says Trump's tariffs might impact the industry's financial sustainability, but we don't know what the impact will be so far. But the rooibos industry sustains about 8,000 jobs, mostly in rural Western Cape, and the US market is small for South Africa's rooibos exports. The US accounts for only about 5% of rooibos exports from South Africa.
And what's happening in the markets this morning?
Well, it is Asian markets that are down across the board. The big focus for investors this morning is on interest rates in the US. US central banks officials have been meeting and debating about whether to further cut interest rates next month, and the minutes of this meeting will be released later today. And investors are hoping for an interest rate cut in September, but there's still a lot of uncertainty about whether this will happen. After all, the US economy and jobs markets are in a precarious position because of Trump's tariffs. So in Asian markets this morning, Japan's Nikkei is down 1.6%, China's Shanghai Composite is down 1%, and Hong Kong's Hang Seng is also down 0.4%, and US markets have finished lower yesterday, also reflecting investor concerns about the health of the US economy.
Plenty of business on the go. Ray, look forward to chatting to you again in an hour.
Africa Update on SAFM.
Advocate Sipho Mantula joins us. Good morning to you, Sipho. What's been happening in Mali and the former civilian prime minister there charged with embezzlement of funds?
Good morning, John, and Jumbo Africa to the listeners. John, you will recall that this is a prime minister who served between 2021 and 2024 after he publicly went on and criticized the military government of Colonel Goit Asim, John. And this came also, you look at his arrest and charges that just a week ago there was an arrest of some of the military ranks and government officials on a plot against the government. Now, the charges against the former prime minister is around damage to public property, forgery, and the use of false documents. This matter has been remanded, John, and he remains in custody. There's no yet date that's been set for his trial, but his lawyer is saying that they believe in justice. So Mali is pursuing their former civilian prime minister just after the military coup. Remember, they had what we call, John, back-to-back coups in 2020 and 2021.
I went down the rabbit hole of what was happening in South Sudan the other day, and it's World Humanitarian Day. Horrific times in that country for humanitarians.
Indeed, John, very sad when you think of the South Sudan in terms of its post-conflict reconstruction, its secession from North Sudan. That is just the beginning of the year in terms of humanitarian workers, what we call those who face the cold front of humanitarian tragedies, disasters that are in that part of Central Africa or East Africa. You find that the issues of 26 casualties include 15 humanitarian workers. Contractors, John, they get injured, and there are 200 incidents that have been reported as a direct violence against humanitarians and their assets also, John. And this also escalates what we call an insecurity in the peace process of the South Sudan. The UN also had looked at this issue in terms of the theme of this year, John, the act of humanity, the act of Ubuntu. How do we look at the question of the South Sudan, John, with many people suffering, and at the same time, those who have to aid them, they're being attacked, and there's not even funding. When you think of humanitarian disaster, what I'll always call a human-made disaster. It's human beings sometimes, John, who made these disasters, but sometimes they are natural, and we have to respond. And that's how you see South Sudan is still being flagged by the UN as one of the dangerous places.
Have a word shout out to all the humanitarians that are around the world trying to save people. Then some good news happening in Addis Ababa.
Yeah, but nothing new under the sun, John, man. The Federal Civil Service Commission announced a major salary increase for civil servants.
Yeah.
Effective, by the way, for the new year in Ethiopia. Ethiopia, their new season begins in September. But you look at those who are entry levels from bachelor's degree will rise from 6,940 birr to 11,500 birr. When I look at the exchange rate to the rent, I don't want to go there. Listeners will be the jury, John. You look at the minimum salary of government employees also moving from 4,760 birr to 6,000 birr. Maximum salary doubling, John, from 21,000 to 39,000. So in 39,000 birr, in short, in our exchange rate, it's almost 5,000 rand.
Oh, wow.
So that is how, John, I said to you, it's said when you look at Ethiopia, but the salary adjustment is how government has been managing to raise what I call the income tax reform, a tax-free threshold from those who are earning, John. And that's how Ethiopia is able to highlight the issue of fair wages and reducing what people will call employee turnover and increase productivity. The more you pay people, man, John, the more they will produce. But the less you pay people, the more they become lazy.
Yeah, you say the minimum has been increased to 6,000 birr, which is 753 rand and 82 cents.
You must not go there, John. Keep it to yourself, John. Don't go there. I said nothing new under the sun.
What's in the historical archives today?
John, I look at two major events, and this one, since it's Women's Month, I thought I will pack this for our Friday Women's Series, but I thought it's important. 6 years ago, a South African who was born in the Eastern Cape, John, went to England at the age of 13. Helen Nontando Noni Jabavu was born on this day. A great woman, John, when you look at his influence, his literature, and he passed away in 2008 at the age of 88. He was back in the country. His first book, Drawn in the Color, 1960. This woman, like I said, John, there's a lot to say about her. I won't go deeper into her, but she's a daughter of great people, the daughter of Florence Makiwane, also the daughter of DDT Jabavu, and his grandfather being John Tengo Jabavu. These are your editors and journalists of early papers of the Xhosa Nation, Imvo Zabansundu, the Black Opinion. So this woman, John, like I said, there's a lot that our listeners can just try to have some of his writings coming from Umam Xaba and Mazola. They came with a book called A Stranger at Home. This book was published in 2023, Noni Jabavu, A Stranger at Home. This is a very important book, but he had two seminal books, 1960, Drawn in the Color, as I mentioned, The Orc of the People, 1963, and the last one, Asanda Suzanne, came up with a book in 2022 also, Nontando Noni Jabavu, The Legacy Create. Finally, John, our listeners in Cape Town, they'll never forget this day, 1983, the formation of the United Democratic Front that was launched in Rocklands Community Center in Mitchell's Plain in Cape Town. You'll recall that Reverend Frank Chikan was one of the speakers. People like Alan Busak were part of it, John. But the formation of the UDF was to question and to challenge the tricameral parliament that was set up by the apartheid government. Remember the tricameral parliament, John? It was the whites, the Indians, and the colors. And the UDF said, we're not going to allow that ceremonial and facial apartheid that you are creating further. And hence, UDF was formed in this day, on this day in 1983. It is a very seminal year, John, to the history of this country. Asante Sana, John, as I was leading the conversation, SAFM, observing the Women's Month and celebrating Me Noni Jabavu.
Sipho Mantula, thanks very much. It's 6:45.
The boardroom heat is on and the pressure is rising. The Insurance Apprentice, hosted by the one and only Babi Moloi, is delivering drama, tough decisions, and big personalities every week. Expect bold moves, emotional twists, and contestants you'll either root for or roast. And yes, you'll be surprised what you learn about insurance along the way. Open up to the Insurance Apprentice, Thursdays at 7 p.m. only on S3. Open up. S3.
Imagine if you could save time like you save money. A second here, a minute there. Type a little faster, walk a little faster. Or you could stop scrolling on the internet. Just think of all the hours you'll save. Now what if you could take all that time and invest it? Watch it grow. Until eventually one day, you'd have so much time that you wouldn't know what to do with it all. But unfortunately, time doesn't work like that. It can't be stored or banked. And unlike money, you can't make it back. That's why after 50 years of investing, we've learned that time is the greatest gift of all. And the good news is, if you invest early, time gives you money. And then money gives you more time to do whatever you want to do, even if it is scrolling on the internet. Ellen Gray, long-term investing. Ellen Gray is an authorized FSP.
Channel your inner warrior woman this August on Expresso as we celebrate and empower women across South Africa. From trailblazing heroines to inspiring entrepreneurs, we spotlight stories of strength, resilience, and change. Join us for powerful panel chats, wisdom, wellness, and bold conversations on equality, GBV, and women's rights. This Women's Month, rise with the women leading our nation forward. Weekdays 6 to 9 a.m. only on S3.
Conversations that you connect with and react to. SAFM.
What is going on in our schools? This one hits home personally because I went to Westridge High School when I was in high school. There's always been tensions between Westridge High School and across the road, Hoërskool Roodepoort. But what happened this time is, it seems ridiculous. A stabbing of a school principal, multiple suspensions, knives involved here. What is going on? Let's speak to an education expert about the growing prevalence of violence in schools. Professor Gazani Beloy is the head of Quality Assurance and Enhancement at the College of Graduate Studies at UNISA. Prof, thanks very much for joining us. Sort of a microscope on Westridge High School and Hoërskool Roodepoort, but this is becoming more and more prevalent. We're seeing this violence in schools.
Yeah, thank you very much, John, for welcoming me on your show. I think it is always my pleasure to be invited on your show, and I appreciate this. Firstly, let me be quick to point out that this kind of behaviors in schooling system is not acceptable. So schools must remain a centers of safety. So it must be a center of teaching and also a center of growth. The fact that this has happened, it is appalling. So, but the culture of teaching and learning should be given a priority. We need to see much more safer schools environments, John.
Part of this started with an initial altercation that went viral on social media. Can we blame the use of social media and the publication of these kind of things to add fuel to the fire?
Of course, we are living in an era of social media and the new technologies, but we need to supervise learners or students in terms of using this social media. That is, social media should be used responsibly. Others go to an extent of saying social media or new technologies is disruptive. Of course, as a schools, we need to have the policies on social media and cellular phones. So these policies should be communicated to all the learners and also the stakeholders. Remember, we have internal and also external stakeholders. Parents, as external stakeholders, should also be invited to sign for all these policies on CPT and also policies including school policies, of course, including this safety on the social media and new technologies. So this is appalling.
Prof, I know that we're probably going to get messages and texts to say it's the lack of discipline at school these days. In the olden days, we used to get 6 of the best. These 6th grade 12 boys would be punished severely. Now they're just suspended for 7 days. Is enough being done for discipline?
Yeah, of course, suspension of learners remains solely with the head of the department. But most importantly, parents should be involved in the education of their children. Because in a situation in which parents are involved in the education of their children, there will be less disciplinary problems. So issues of corporal punishment has been outlawed. It's no longer permissible to inflict corporal punishment at schools. So we need to build a sense of belongingness in the school community. So we need to create a situation in which learners in schools, in a schooling system, know each other. Of course, if we do have that situation, we will have less disciplinary challenges or problems in schooling system. So learners will move from one grade to another. And if learners know that teacher so-and-so has a very good relationship with my parents, of course they will also behave. But we need to involve parents to be involved in the education of their children, because National Development Planning encourage parent involvement, and also South African Schools Act encourage parent involvement. This is topical, not only in South Africa, but also in global communities, John.
I went to Westridge High School, and there was always tension with Hoërskool Roodepoort. It was the big derby, and they would always beat us on the rugby field. But that's kind of where it ended. Why this escalation in violence across our schools?
I think what we need to do is to strengthen our safety policies. Of course, the schools must have a code of conduct, and this code of conduct must be clearly communicated to all the students and also the parents. But also in a schooling system, we need to have a visionary leaders. School management team should be visionaries, and issues of transformation should be always prioritized. So we also need to develop class rules and also regulation and implement school safety policy accordingly. So perpetrators should always be brought to justice. And we need also to involve a law enforcement agency to strengthen our schooling system. Of course, there was a dialogue at the University of South Africa in which issues of safety was also emphasized. In one of the plenary sessions, they were talking about winning the future through education. So there were stakeholders, including both primary and secondary learners. But most importantly, issues of safety should be prioritized.
Professor Gazani Baloyi, thank you very much. Head of Quality Assurance and Enhancement at the College of Graduate Studies at UNISA.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Good morning. Heavy backlogs coming into Joburg from the south on these busy routes these days. The R59, a crash at Michelle Avenue, so that's slow. Back through Swartkop East, the N1 North up to the N12 East for a connection through Diepkloof to Uncle Charlie's. That's heavy, coming from Eldo's passing Devlin. And the Mike 1 crash involving a truck and two vehicles at 11th Avenue. That has pushed a queue right back to Boyson, so very heavy getting up through the crowd interchange area. Still some lights out on the main road between Lone Hill and Bryanston, so that is very slow going. And a lot of unusual congestion this morning in the Silver Lakes area, Pretoria East, particularly Graham Road, Linwood Road, Graham Road, east of Solomon Mashlangu into Silver Lakes. That's all backed up, and there's a lot of sort of what appears to be just diverting traffic pressures in that part of Pretoria, so it is very slow. Breaking down truck in the road construction between Chatterton and Peter Brown, so we're talking Town Hill going up from Peter Maritzburg to Hilton. Looks like just a single lane open to get through there. Breakdown before you get to Gateway on your way to the airport. That's very slow. And Cape Town, another misty morning to contend with through Khayelitsha along the N2, the R300 up through Brackenfell, the N1 inbound through Brackenfell, all very misty again, so just take it easy, expect some delays. Roadwork overrun on the M7 out of Mitchell's Plain at Samora Michelle, that's heavy, and traffic lights on a flash mode, Baden-Powell Drive at Strandfontein Road, so extra delays as you line up direction Muizenberg. With your traffic update, I'm Rob Byrne.
This year, the Standard Bank Joy of Jazz Festival presents 3 unforgettable days deep in the art and heart of jazz. From the 26th, 27th and 28th of September, Umu Sankare, Ababemu, Jasmia Horn, Silent Law and the Noisemakers, Najbonk Trio, Michelle Ndingio-Cello, Willem Siini, Gabby Mutuba, and over 50 world-class acts will be ready to welcome you and yours to 4 magnificent stages of the Sandton Convention Center. Take me there. Buy your tickets at Ticketmaster now.
SA Sport Awards reflect our collective nation-building spirit. Mzansi's sport heroes and heroines have shown resilience, persistence, passion, discipline, and world-class achievements in the sports fraternity. Let us celebrate #Izinja Zegame. Catch the 18th Annual SA Sport Awards on Sunday 24 August at 7:30 p.m. on SABC Plus and SABC Sport on DTT Channel 4, then on SABC 1 at 8 p.m. Brought to you by the Department of Sport, Arts and Culture in partnership with SASCOG and SABC Sport. Celebrating sporting excellence.
Hey SA, entries for FlySafe's Business Booster are closing soon. So if you're a small local business that needs help taking off, Enter at flysafair.co.za. Tell us about your business, and you could be one of 6 standout enterprises to win 10 return business class flights plus brand exposure across our various platforms. Whether you're mixing, matching, crafting, or inventing, we want to help your business skyrocket. Fly Safair, for the love of fly. T's and C's apply. John Gerika on SAFM.
John and Fatulis here with SAFM. We've got 5 minutes to talk to our next guest, where the story here is President Cyril Ramaphosa is facing legal pressure from the Association of Regional Magistrates of Southern Africa. They want a 34% salary increase for magistrates. Ian Cox is the president of the Association of Regional Magistrates of South Africa, or AMSA. Ian, good morning to you. Thank you very much. 34% increase?
Good morning, John. John, yes, it sounds terrible, but it must be seen in perspective. You know, the 34% was in fact recommended by the Independent Remuneration Committee, who makes recommendations to President Ramaphosa regarding our salaries. They're the ones, and they sit in the presidency, who recommended the increase for us. And the reason that they recommended it is because we have been wronged for the past approximately 15 years, you know, where we constantly received salary increases below the inflation rate, and the increases has not kept up with the increase in our roles, responsibilities and workloads in the judiciary as a whole. And hence, 34%, it sounds a lot, divided by 15 years, then it's not that much. You know, every year we've been receiving salaries below par, and then if compared to our neighbours, let's call them our neighbours, the civil servants, who every year receive salary increases at least inflationary and or more.
Part of the problem is just the money, and the presidency's warning of a ripple effect onto judges, MPs, mayors, and all people that work for the government.
Yes, but also one must see that in perspective, and that is that there are different arms of government. And in around about 2018, 2019, other arms of government had a review of their salaries, and they also had bigger increase than the normal to keep up. We were told to take a back seat then, and that they would get to us, and that never happened. So it is their own fault that we're now sitting where we are sitting. And it's the whole of the judiciary.
He's saying that it's not just regular salary adjustments. This would be a whole structural change.
Correct. This is not a cost of living adjustment where you have your annual increase. This is to make up for past wrongs, as I say.
What does the oversight committees have to say about this, and making sure the president does his job? Because you're taking him to court. You're not just going on a strike here.
Correct. Yes, we were in fact in court yesterday, and the oversight committees, we had meetings with them in February this year. They say they understand our plight and so forth, and that's where it basically ends. We were promised a full-scale meeting with different stakeholders in March, a 2-day workshop. That never happened, so nobody takes us seriously, and that's so sad, because we are the arm of government.
What is the process now? So you're in court, you're asking for this massive increase, and are you confident the court will side with you?
What's eventually transpired is that at the last hour, whilst the president knew that we were going to court and we already had a court date, the president referred the matter back to the Independent Remuneration Committee, the recommendations to be reviewed, and yes, so then it became a moot point, and the matter was struck off the roll. But we got wasted costs.
Okay, so what does the Remuneration Committee have to do now?
They have to now review and answer to the president by the 30th of September with regards to certain questions that he had, apparently him and via the Minister of Finance.
Ian, you know the difficulty South Africa is going through and the world is going through. Doesn't this pose a major risk for efforts to rein in this huge public sector bill?
It is so. I understand the fears of the public and so forth, but once again, one must see this in perspective. How is it possible that every year, for example, the civil servants get inflation-related and even more increases, and they are hundreds of thousands? We are but 2,000 regional magistrates, or rather magistrates, and then it's said that there is no money. How do you do the sums? We always get the scraps, because in the sense that we were told, and it's been proven to be true, that our salaries are only fixed or determined after the so-called strike season is passed. And that is so that obviously we get the leftovers instead of being afforded the opportunity to have increases that's on par.
Right, we have to leave it there. Ian Cox, President of the Association of Regional Magistrates of South Africa. And when I see some of these salaries, they are eye-watering a little bit. But what do you make of that? Give us a call, 086 000 2032. These magistrates do work very, very hard, many, many hours. 086 000 2032. You can send a voice note on 0614 104 107. It's 7 o'clock.
Outsurance will go out of their way to try and save you money on your car insurance. If they can't, ask for 500 Rand. Time to switch and save. Call 08600 60,000 today.
In our top stories, court to deliver judgment on Katiso Molife's bail application and 3 suspects killed in a shootout with police. Good morning. The Alexandra Magistrates Court in Johannesburg is today expected to deliver judgment in the bail application of the accused in the DJ Somebody murder case. Katiso Katie Molife is accused of ordering a hit on the celebrity DJ, whose real name is Opasifuka. Horisani Sitole reports.
Katiso Katie Molife and 3 others have been charged with the murder of DJ Somebody and his 2 bodyguards, Busiso Mukwena and Sandile Mjeza. The 3 alleged hitmen are Michael Buletau, Musa Kekana, and Diego Floyd Mabusela. Molife was previously granted bail by the High Court in a separate case involving the murder of an engineer and whistleblower, Armand Swart. Molife's lawyer says while this court is not bound by the High Court's decision, Molife adhered to all bail conditions until his arrest.
Police say they expect to make more arrests following the arrest of a suspect in connection with the attempted robbery of 3 DA members of Parliament in Philippi outside of Cape Town yesterday. Ian Cameron, who's the chairperson of the police committee, Lisa Schickling and Nicholas Gotzel were returning from an oversight visit to a police training college when the incident happened. Gotzel was admitted to hospital. He was seriously injured, while Cameron sustained minor injuries. The suspect is in hospital under police guard. Philly Okamp is the DA's national spokesperson.
According to the Provincial Police Commissioner, an 18-year-old suspect has been arrested as he sought medical attention at a facility in Lentegeur on Tuesday evening. He had apparently been shot when one of the occupants that were attacked fired a shot during the attack. The person is currently under police guard in hospital. With the investigation unfolding, more arrests are expected.
Meanwhile, the presiding officers of Parliament have condemned the attack. Parliament spokesperson Moloto Mutapo.
The presiding officers expressed deep concern, noting that such shocking acts of criminality not only endangers the lives of elected representatives and members of the public, but also undermines Parliament's constitutional duty to hold organs of the state accountable through oversight. Parliament conveys heartfelt wishes for a full and speedy recovery to the affected members of Parliament.
3 suspects have been killed in a shootout with police in Mamelodi in Pretoria. Police received information about suspects who were in possession of illegal firearms at a house in the area. Hawk spokesperson Chris Singo.
The police visited the house. Upon arrival at the premises, a shootout ensued between the police and the suspects. 3 suspects were fatally wounded by the police and 1 suspect fled the scene. The police recovered 1 AR rifle and 2 pistols.
The White House has not ruled out using military force to combat drug trafficking gangs in Venezuela. The U.S. warships with Marines on board have been deployed to the southern Caribbean. This after Washington designated several cartels as terrorist organizations. The BBC's James Reid has the details.
The prospect of direct US military intervention in Venezuela still seems remote, but the approach of American warships has angered President Nicolás Maduro, who's been indicted on drug charges, with a $50 million bounty for his arrest. On Monday, he said he would mobilize millions of militia members to defend against the threat. The White House spokeswoman Caroline Leavitt said President Trump was prepared to use every element of American power to stop drugs coming into the country.
Recapping the top story, the Alexandra Magistrates Court in Johannesburg is today expected to deliver judgment in the bail application of the accused in the DJ Somebody murder case. Katiso Katie Molefe is accused of ordering a hit on the celebrity DJ, whose real name is Oupa Sifuka. For SAFM News, I am Anne Musa.
Outsurance will go out of their way to try and save you money on your car insurance. If they can't, ask for 500 Rand. Visit outsurance.co.za today. You always get something out.
Just phone Outsurance, get a quote and see what they can offer you. If you don't save that 321 like I did, you might get a 500 or $1,000 back. Service and savings, you'll always get something out.
How is it that Outsurance provided the solution for you?
918 Rand is what I'm saving.
Incredible! What brought you and Outsurance together?
718 Rand. I end up saving.
They gave you the real deal.
It literally is the real deal.
Go to outsurance.co.za now for a 10-minute quote that could save you thousands. Licensed insurer and FSP. T's, C's and information online.
It's a very good morning to you in your SFM Sports Headlines. Soccer action, Kaizer Chiefs ruling the table with Gaston Serino's stunner, sealing their third straight PSL win. And in cricket action, the Proteas crushed Australia by 98 runs to take a 1-0 ODI lead. All the details just before 7:30.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Good morning. Top stories on the traffic desk. The Mike 1 in Joburg. Heavy backlogs this morning. A truck and two vehicles involved in a crash by 11th Avenue at Houghton Estate. It's a joined up queue right back through to Boyson's this morning. That run up through the Crown is particularly heavy. Looks like lights are out coming out of the Rampart Ridge area through Bromhof, Easterhout, heading down towards Hans Skuman on your way to Randburg. Very heavy backlogs. Main and Vickoppen, Main and Sloane, Main and Winnie Mandela are out, so that run south through Bryce is going to be heavy, and a lot of congestion in Pretoria East around Silver Lakes area this morning, particularly Linwood Graham Road heading eastbound after Solomon Mishlangut all gets backed up. Heavy traffic between Pietermaritzburg and Hilton, stationary truck in the roadworks on Town Hill causing that backlog, and Cape Town, misty conditions, so make sure you get through safely with extra time. Lights flashing Baden Powell at Strandfontein, so that's heavy, and the N1 inbound this morning, quite a heavy backlog already from Belleville through to Kuba. Get a change. With your traffic update, I'm Rob Byrne.
The Morning Brief, Monday to Friday, 6 to 9 a.m. The Morning Brief, Monday to Friday, 6 to 9 a.m.
Good morning to you, John Ian Fatula Sizwe. Busy half hour coming up. We're going to talk to Parliament's Portfolio Committee on International Relations and Defence. This has got to do with what happened in Iran recently. The SANDF Chief General Mapanya visiting Iran. We're going to get an update on that. That's after Angie Motsecha and Ronald Lamola have been called to the to that Portfolio Committee. We're going to talk to the chairperson. Then the ANC's Chief Whip will be joining us after he put an attempt to prevent the ad hoc committee probing Lieutenant General Mkwanazi's allegations with dealing from classified information. We're going to find out what that means. And related to all of that, in a slightly different angle, is what is happening within the ANC. Tensions rising there as the party moves to discipline senior members, Malusi Gigaba and Senzo Mqunu, for publicly criticizing its recent electoral performance. So a busy half hour of politics coming up. You're with SAFM.
Hey SA, entries for FlySafe's Business Booster are closing soon. So if you're a small local business that needs help taking off, enter at flysafe.co.za, tell us about your business, and you could be one of 6 standout enterprises to win 10 return business class flights plus brand exposure across our various platforms. Whether you're mixing, matching, crafting, or inventing, we want to help your business skyrocket. FlySafe, for the love of fly. T's and C's apply.
Think about 6 years ago, when Amapiano was just a musical instrument, when streaming meant watching water flow, not videos online, and remote work was only said when your remote batteries died. So it makes you wonder, what will the next 6 years bring? Hino trucks now come standard with a 6-year drivetrain warranty, covering everything from pistons to gears. So although a lot can change in 6 years, our warranty promise won't. T's and C's apply. Hino, all the way.
This week on FC Meets, Tisetso and Bandile are joined by journalist and sports broadcasting rising star Mpumi Manyisi. She bears all about her journey through the world of sport journalism and shares insight on retaining integrity and breaking stories. Tune in to SABC Sport on DTT Channel 4 this Saturday, 23 August at 6 p.m. Also available on SABC+. FC Meets. Football made for community by community. Rechencha Game. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
For the love of the game.
The only talk radio morning breakfast show that makes sense. The Morning Brief.
It's 11 minutes past 7 o'clock. Now, Parliament's Portfolio Committee on International Relations and Defence criticised a growing lack of coordination between South Africa's defence diplomacy and its broader foreign policy objectives. That follows this remarks by the SANDF Chief General Mapwanya during a visit to Iran, and the presidency's labelled that ill-advised. Now, Ministers Angie Motshekga from Defence and Ronald Lamola of International Relations have been summoned to explain the handling of the incident. Dakota Legwete is the chairperson of the Portfolio Committee on Defence and Military Veterans. Dakota, thank you very much for joining us. Why are you calling Motshekga and Lamola?
Thank you very much for the opportunity, and good morning. And also good morning to all the listeners. We are calling them before the Joint Portfolio Committee because there is a confusing message in terms of our foreign policy position, including our military diplomacy. And that creates a problem because we're in the middle of engagements on the trade tariffs between ourselves and America and other countries to find alternative markets. So any creation of a disjunction or a discord can create a reputational damage to our international relations and position on other issues. So for me and you know that the trade tariff war is not a war fought through men and women in combat. It's a war that is fought through an economic hitman, which can have repercussions in terms of jobs, which can have repercussions in terms of economic growth, and that is very negative outlook for our country. So it's important that at any time when we speak on, particularly on issues, we must be one, because you heard the presidency said something, DELCO said distance itself, presidency said it's ill-advised, the Department of Defense distanced itself and later came in back again, and now we can't run with such policy choices which are sometimes detrimental unintentionally to the outlook of the economy of the country. And I think as the portfolio committees which play oversight, it's important for us to get clarity so that both departments, because what they are doing in terms of foreign policy, it's a question of statecraft. Now, the executive cabinet is responsible for the implementation or the execution of our policy positions, and it's important that at all times they are held responsible and accountable where they are wrong, because you can't have such disjointed You can't have such confusing messages from the same government, from the same country, from the same flag, same constitution, and the same policy position. So that's what we want to be clarified. Least will create a problem on other issues, because trade wars, like I said, they are not fought through combat, but we need to be led by Honorable Pakstow and Honorable Lamola to negotiate with the U.S., to negotiate with other alternative markets in the world. And that, it can only make sense when we are repeatable, when we have one message instead of many messages, which creates uncertainty.
Dakota, how long is this process going to take? You're calling the ministers. It's a dual sitting. You're also getting the International Relations Committee in as well. How long will this process take before we see some sort of resolution or a decision from those committees?
Look, from our side, there's a meeting which is outstanding between the President, DERCO, and Department of Defense, including the Chief of the National Defense Force. I'm sure from that meeting we'll get a way forward, and that's what we would appreciate from the portfolio committees, to get one voice, one message, one republic, and one policy position in terms of how we relate, because we know that both military diplomacy, both economic diplomacy and political diplomacy are intertwined in our missions and in our national interest, and it's important that even when we speak as government, we speak with one voice, because we may affect our trust relations with other nations, or even our reputation being damaged by mixed messages on one subject. So we don't even want to judge what the Chief of the National Defense Force said. We want the political leadership that accounts to us as a portfolio committee in parliaments to account. Why should we have so many messages on one matter whilst we are in a middle of trade tariff wars in the world, and we are one of the subjects which have been bombed with 30% tariffs by the United States, and we must be clear in our positions, whether we are resetting or whether we are doing whatever. So we want the executive to clarify us on that particular aspect.
Dakota,
as Parliament, in particular the portfolio committees.
Dakota Lekweta, thank you very much. Chairperson of the Portfolio Committee on Defence and Military Veterans.
Spar brings you super savings. Get 175 gram Protex soap, any two for 24 Rand, and 50 megs free data on Spar Mobile, or 100 ml Colgate Maximum Cavity Protection toothpaste, or 150 ml Triple Action, any two for 42 Rand, and 100 megs free data on Spar Mobile. Thus, you could win your share of 6 million Rand in instant cash. Price is valid until 7 September 2025, while stocks last. T's and C's apply.
If you think you cannot afford a lawyer, think again. Clientele Legal has made professional legal services affordable for you. Whether it's a civil, criminal, or labor-related matter, we have a nationwide panel of attorneys standing by to assist you. SMS SAFM to 32195. That's SAFM to 32195, and we'll call you back. Clientele General is a licensed non-life insurer and an authorized FSP. Standard rates and terms and conditions apply.
This week on Off-Pitch Goals, having had a solid career for UJ ladies, Basia Michaels now sits at the head of the table when it comes to football agents. Representing some of South Africa's brightest football superstars, she breaks down how the world of talent management works. Tune in to SABC Sport on DTT Channel 4 this Saturday, 23 August at 6:30 p.m. Also available on SABC Plus. Off-Pitch Goals, where we showcase how the stars score in business. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
For the love of the game.
Across South Africa, online and on radio. SAFM, let's talk.
Right, let's move on to our next story now. The ANC Chief Whip, Mdumiseni Ntuli, put up a fight to prevent the ad hoc committee probing Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi's allegations from dealing with classified information. EFF and the MK rebutted those concerns about the committee dealing with those classified information. Let's talk to Mdumiseni now and find out what the worries are. Mdumiseni Ntuli, thank you very much for joining us. What are your worries about classified information?
Good morning, John, and good morning to the listeners of SAFM. Look, John, the problem is not necessarily was not my concern about classified information. My argument had to do with the legislation of our country. In Parliament, we've got various portfolio committees, including the ad hoc committee that have been set up to deal with these allegations. But none of the committees, except one that is called a Joint Standing Committee on Intelligence, is made up of members from various political parties who go through a particular vetting process before they are confirmed to be members of that committee. That committee don't just join it merely because you're a member of parliament. You can be seconded there by your party, but you can fail the vetting process. Hence, they are the ones who are required to deal with matters of intelligence and classified information. So my argument was not that that I was not advocating for anything to be hidden. I was saying, but let's not appropriate to ourselves the responsibilities that in terms of the legislation belong to a different portfolio committee of parliament.
MK and the EFF saying, let's wait till we get there. We'll cross that bridge when it happens. Why are you wasting time?
You don't work like that when you are a member of parliament. You don't wait until there's a bridge to decide whether you must cross it or not. You anticipate the journey you're going to undertake. Our own conception, John, let me just tell you from the theoretical position of the ANC, our journey begins from the end. When we depart, we know where we're going. We may then discuss how to navigate that way, how to deal with difficulties. But you can't say, I'm going. I don't know where I'm going. I'll see if there's a bridge, how to cross it. It doesn't work like that. And in terms of members of parliament and the legislation, you certainly have to anticipate the task at hand and how to deal with complexities that are going to emerge along the way.
David Skosana of MKP saying that this all really erupted when they started bringing up Phala dealings, feeling that maybe the ANC are protecting the president?
No. We have no intention to protect anybody, including the president. David he was even called to order by Julius Malema in the committee because he has this habit of being completely out of line, of speaking things that are not relevant. We were dealing with terms of references, for instance. Phala is not featured in any way on our work. And he is a contention that we are advancing the argument. We're advancing because Minister Mkhunu classified certain information relating to Phala. I mean, that was completely out of line. It had nothing to do with what we're doing. And we decided as the ANC that we've been cautioning the MK about this lack of experience and knowledge about what needs to be done at any given moment. We thought, let's give him a chance to do all these wrong things that he's doing because they won't impact on our work until Mr. Malema intervened. And we agreed with Mr. Malema's intervention that essentially we're being abused here by a person who's really clothed in ignorance, who doesn't know what is our task, and who's bringing everything and anything that he wants to bring into the committee's discussion in order to attack some headline, so that somebody is going to write about them that these ones are the real members of parliament. They want everybody, including President Cyril Ramaphosa, to account, notwithstanding the fact that what they are bringing in has absolutely nothing to do with the mandate of the ad hoc committee.
Mdubisini, the terms of reference expected in a couple of days. Will this the classified information saga delay that?
No, the matter was settled in the meeting on Monday. We met on Monday the whole day. We're meeting on Friday again to receive the consolidated terms of references after our discussion. The matter was settled. The committee agreed that we don't have a mandate to deal with classified information, but there are existing protocols in Parliament through which, if and when in the course of our work, somebody brings on board a classified information, we should channel that to the relevant authority, which in this case, as I'm saying, is a Joint Standing Committee on Intelligence.
Right.
So that debate was settled. It was a popular stance and the lack of knowledge from the people who were saying, we're advancing this position because we're hiding something. We have nothing to hide. But we can't work like we're a banana republic. We've got to be guided by laws. so that what we do is consistent with the mandate given to us by Parliament.
Dumiseni, while I've got you as the Chief Whip in the National Assembly of the ANC, what do you make of these your senior members of the ANC, Malusi Gigaba and Senzo Mchunu, for criticizing the ANC in its performance?
Well, I have not had an opportunity to listen to the entire interviews or interventions that were made by Comrade Senzo and Comrade Malusi in order for me to determine that, like you are saying, they have criticized the organization and maybe have done so unfairly. What I can tell you is that as members of the ANC, we have a responsibility to safeguard the unity and the integrity of our movement. And that does not mean we are not allowed to express our own observations about the direction of the movement and its impact to society. So I'm not sure what they say, which has resulted in the statement of the Secretary General, which was publicly, and the intervention by the national spokesperson. So I am not in the position to say, yes, of course, I heard this thing, I've understood it in its entirety, and these two comrades are out of order or anything like that. I can't make that comment. I am not informed.
Are you happy that within Parliament, which is where you live, in the National Assembly, that the ANC is one unit?
That the ANC is, sorry?
One unit?
No, we're united in Parliament. The caucus of the ANC is a very cohesive caucus, and our platform in caucus, we debate issues. We are not holy cows. There are areas where there are fundamental disagreements about how to handle certain questions. And we debate those issues until the caucus come to a conclusion. And once the conclusion has been arrived at, I have not had an experience of anybody who deviates. My own experience has been that because we fully canvass ideas in the caucus of the ANC, once there is a position, everybody is comfortable and competent to advance and articulate a position of caucus.
Dumiseni Mtuli, thank you very much. A couple of topics there. ANC's Chief Whip in the National Assembly. Let's continue that conversation about what is happening within the ANC with Professor Beki Ngomazulu, Director for the Centre of Advancement of Non-Racialism and Democracy at the Nelson Mandela University. Prof, you were listening to Mtuli at the end there. What do you make of that?
Thank you very much, John, and for having me, and good morning to your listeners. In fact, I'm happy that I'm coming immediately after the Chief Whip of the ANC. Someone, by the way, I respect for a number of reasons, which I'm not going to spell out here. I'm really impressed by the fact that he is not basically joining the queue of those who are saying that both Senzo Mchunu and Malusi Gigaba should be dragged before the disciplinary committee of the ANC because they did something wrong. Because that is unwarranted. First of all, we all know that the ANC is guided by what is referred to as democratic centralism. What that means is that if there are issues to be deliberated upon, they discuss as the ANC and they disagree, like Nduli was saying, and then eventually they take a decision. And then that becomes a policy decision of the ANC, which they then articulate to the public. But on the matter that pertains the two individuals, that is Gigaba and Mchunu, there is nothing like that. The question is the ANC where it is supposed to be? The answer is an emphatic no. And then the question the ANC must ask itself, how did we get here? They must identify those causal factors. And then the next question will be, how do we get ourselves out of this dilemma? And then they articulate some of those factors. That has nothing to do with democratic centralism. So I am of the view that the statement by the SG of the ANC was in fact ill-informed and unwarranted.
Yeah, but there's the irony in this, that the Secretary General has come out so strongly against criticism. But Mchunu had previously faced ANC disciplinary action, raised concerns about inconsistent application of the party discipline. What is going on that they come out so strongly against this, but not against other things with these two individuals in particular?
That's one of the things that, in fact, will be gradually eating the ANC support because of a lack of a uniformity in taking decisions. In other words, you and I can be members of the ANC. We commit the same crime. but then you find that the verdict is different as it pertains to you, and then it's different when it concerns me. That can't be right. There should be consistency. If there is no consistency in the party, then it means that we are going to invoke this other big factor, that of factionalism, that you will be judged based on the faction you are associated with and not necessarily based on what you have done. And that can't be right for the party, not the ANC, not any political party for that matter. As a matter of fact, not even in a church organization, the moment you are not consistent, then of course you lose your credibility, and then in the case of politics, you also lose numbers, and then the result will be what we saw in 2024 when the ANC got below 50%, only getting 40.18%. Unless the mentality changes, then of course the worst is yet to come.
And quickly, if you can, Prof, we'll get comments and there's reaction to this saying that the ANC is more worried about its credibility internally than running the country.
Indeed, that is the case, which is a problem. I've always made the point that we must get the order right. It should be the country first, the party second, and then individuals last. But in the main, you get the order in its reverse form, where individuals are concerned about their own political future, then they are concerned about the political party, only last they are concerned about the country. That order is totally wrong.
Professor Beki Ngomazulu is the director, the Center for Advancement of Non-Racialism and Democracy at the Nelson Mandela University. We're pushing Zai a little bit later today, so she will be with your sport in a moment. First, let's get news headlines at 7:30.
Good morning, I'm Anne Musa. In the headlines, police in the Western Cape have arrested a second suspect in connection with the attempted robbery of 3 DA members of Parliament in Philippi on the Cape Flats yesterday. Police say the 16-year-old boy was arrested in Brown's Farm this morning. The Alexandra Magistrates Court in Johannesburg is today expected to deliver judgment in the bail application of the accused in the DJ Somebody murder case. Katiso Katie Mulife is accused of ordering a hit on the celebrity DJ whose real name is Opa Sifoka. And the hearing of the Competition Commission's pursuit for justice in the Rand manipulation matter is set to resume in the Constitutional Court this morning. I'll have details on these and other stories at 8.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Good morning. Just an update on the top story. The Mike 1 truck and a couple of vehicles involved in a crash at 11th Avenue, Houghton Estate. Traffic very heavy this morning on that run through the Crown up into towards Houghton Estate. Big backlogs from Gold Reef City. That run up through the Crown under a lot of pressure. N3 is pretty tight this morning as well, from Elands all the way through to the off-ramp to the N12 at Giluli's interchange. Very big backlogs on that run this morning. The N1 coming up from Eldo's, passing Devlin through Deepcliff interchange for a turn to Uncle Charlie's is quite slow. If you're on the N14, the Krugersdorp Highway, again, you're being asked to queue heavily this morning on the run to Bruckfontein. So from the R55 Pretoria West exit, that all gets heavy. You might want to just off-ramp at the R55 and hit some alternative routes. Durban, broken down vehicle before Gateway's been there all morning. Heavy queues from as far back as Queen Nundy Drive. Also, stationary truck on Town Hill's been there all morning. One lane open as you get out of Pietermaritzburg to Hilton. So there's a heavy backlog as well. Cape Town, another misty morning. A lot of localised congestion through that mist around Brackenfell and the Kraaifontein areas. The R300 getting up towards the N1, queues heavily from Stellenbosch arterial territory, and a couple of breakdowns going into Cape Town on the N2. One in the middle lane by Jan Smuts Drive, so that's heavy from Robert Sobukwe, and then you stay in traffic into another breakdown on the N2 by the M5 highway. Roadwork still with us coming out of Mitchell's Plain, worth a mention. It's heavy on the M7 as you line up through to the construction at Samora Michelle. Rob Byrne, SAFM Traffic.
This is SAFM Sport with Zai Khan.
Good morning. Let's start with Kaizer Chiefs keeping their flawless start in the Betway Premiership, edging Richards Bay 1-0 at FNB Stadium thanks to a second-half strike from Gaston Serino. Sekhukhune United also made it 3 wins from 3, cruising past Orbit College 3-0. TX Galaxy were in sparkling form, thumping Chipper United 4-1, but the night wasn't without drama. Coach Adnan Beganovic saying a red card that was shown to his assistant was simply a misunderstanding.
It's just passion, It's we concede the goal, we score the goal, and then we fight emotion. We include every game. We include emotion, our emotion, and then it's something referee don't understand. The coaching staff, and then what we want, what we actually say on that moment. Maybe he hears something wrong, and then he decides to get a red card. But it's not big story. We just keep going. We work. We save. We don't lose anything. He's part of this club, and we support him also. And then that's it. In the end, we fight like that for TS Galaxy, for our club.
Meanwhile, Polokwane City edged Siwelele 1-0, while Durban City and Golden Arrows drew 1-1 in the KwaZulu-Natal derby. Cricket action, Keshav Maharaj, the star in Cairns, claiming a career best 5 for 33 to power South Africa to a 98-run win over Australia in the first ODI. The Proteas, they posted 296 for 8, led by Aiden Markram's 82 and Matthew Breetzke's 57 on debut, before Bharat spun the game away from the host. His haul also took him past 300 international wickets, the first South African spinner to do so, and it's a milestone win. Maharaj says it's a great way to start the series.
Firstly, from a point of series where we start very slowly, it's nice to put our front foot forward, and then just to see how clinical we are. We're going to expect partnerships. It's not a case of just running through a very solid batting lineup. Yeah, we had the breakthrough, but we expected a partnership. But the guys were still quite diligent in terms of the execution, and quite clinical when we did get the wicket of Duartes at the end.
On to rugby, the Springboks have rung the changes ahead of Saturday's Rugby Championship clash with Australia in Cape Town. Following their shock 38-22 defeat at Ellis Park last weekend, coach Rassie Erasmus has made 10 changes, 4 of them forced through injuries to skipper Siya Kolisi, Peter Steph du Toit, Kurtley Arendse and Edwil van der Merwe. Jesse Creel captains the side for only the second time, with Oxen Chair as vice-captain, experience returning in the form of Willie Leroux, Andre Pollard and Damien Deallender, who boast 271 caps between them, while Ibn Etzebet headlines a powerful bench there. And finally, we've got golf news. Donald Trump's famed Trump National Doral course will host a PGA Tour event next season, returning to the circuit after a 10-year absence. Doral's Blue Monster was a regular stop on the PGA circuit for more than half a century, hosting tournaments annually from 1962 to 2016, staging the WGC Cadillac Championship. However, the tournament was moved from Doral after the sponsor Cadillac decided not to renew its sponsorship, and a replacement sponsor could not be found. And that's your sport. We can be found at the top of the hour. I'm Zai Khan.
The Business Update on SAFM.
22, make it 24 minutes to 8 o'clock here with SAFM. Let's get an update on the business now with Ray Matlaka. Ray, good morning to you again. Eskom has some renewable energy happening.
Yeah, Eskom is moving with the times. Renewable energy, of course, has exploded in South Africa. Laws and regulations have eased, allowing for people and businesses to generate and buy solar energy. So Eskom will now allow large businesses to buy solar energy directly from it. This initiative by Eskom is aimed at companies looking to lower their carbon emissions and secure clean energy over the long term. Renewable energy sites and projects owned by Eskom will produce nearly 300 megawatts of solar energy from December 2027. Eskom is now inviting companies to put bids and procure this solar energy, but this is the first time ever Eskom is embarking on such an initiative.
And Ford recalling, 20,000 cars?
That's right. The recall relates to certain Ford models built between 2021 and 2025. The recall affects several popular models, including the Ford Ranger, Everest, Puma, and EcoSport. The recall is due to various safety concerns. Ford has discovered that the infotainment system or in-car display freezes on some popular device models. That's the display on the dashboard. And the freezing of the system impacts the rear view camera, making images appearing on the camera as missing or delayed. Ford says the parts to fix this problem are expected to be available in October this year, and customers will be able to make service appointments free of charge for the repair.
Infotainment screen, not brakes or gearboxes or something. Okay, just so we understand. And what's happening in the markets?
Well, Asian markets in the current trading session are leading with losses. The big focus for investors is on interest rates in the US. US central bank officials have been meeting in recent days and debating about whether to further cut interest rates in September. And the minutes of this meeting will be released later today, and investors are hoping for an interest rate cut. But overall, investors are worried about the health of the US economy, which is the largest in the world. So in Asian markets this morning, Japan's Nikkei is down 1.6%, China's Shanghai Composite is down 1%, and Hong Kong's Hang Seng is down 0.6%. US markets finished lower during yesterday's trading session.
Bad news. Raymond Laka, thank you very much. Our business journalist keeping an eye with our business update today.
Alttunes made it possible for us to travel more with the money that we save. 725. This is really real.
You are the biggest saver we've ever had.
2,794 Rand a month. It was the easiest switch ever. Get real.
How is it that Outsurance provided the solution for you?
918 Rand is what I'm saving.
Incredible.
Go to outsurance.co.za now for a 10-minute quote that could save you thousands.
Just phone Outsurance, get a quote and see what they can offer you. If you don't save that 321 like I did, you might say get a 500 or $1,000 back. Service and savings, you'll always get something out.
What was the real deal they could offer you?
870.
That's amazing. What brought you and Outsurance together?
718 Rand. I ended up saving.
They gave you the real deal.
It literally is the real deal.
Go to outsurance.co.za now for a 10-minute quote that could save you thousands. Licensed insurer and FSP. TCs and information online.
It is time to experience spectacular football talent from 19 African nations. East Africa is on full vibration. From Tanzania, Kenya to Uganda, the pitch personnel are hungry for continental glory. This is the Total Energies African Nations Championship 2024. Witness Jan 2024 on SABC Plus and SABC Sport on DTT Channel 4 from 2 to 30 August 2025. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
For the love of the game.
The only talk radio morning breakfast show that makes sense. The Morning Brief.
19 minutes to 8. We're going to take calls and WhatsApps in a moment. First, let's go to Tshwane now. The Kleinfontein Informal Settlement, a self-declared Afrikaner-only community east of Pretoria, has accused the city of targeting it for removal. That's following an urgent legal bid to halt all development, sales and construction on the land. The city arguing its actions are based on long-standing legal issues going back to 2013. The community claim it's a politically and culturally motivated move against Afrikaners. Aaron Maluleka is the Tshwane MMC for Human Settlements. Aaron, good morning to you. Is this a political and cultural move to get rid of Afrikaners?
Good morning, and thanks for having me. That is incorrect. The matter of Kleinfontein has been pending, and it went to and from the court, mainly by residents of Kleinfontein. If you look at the recent judgment, city was cited as a local authority that you deem it complicit of not taking action against those that have developed on agricultural land that is not zoned. They didn't submit development plans. And one of the groups within Kleinfontein went to court. And the court found that the city must take action against the other group that is currently the board that is implementing development. But we have started with our court papers. At the center of the conflict, it's a contravention of development, and we have raised this on a number of occasions that there's no issues of race or targeting Afrikaners. We are enforcing our bylaws, land use management scheme, and the SPLUMA with regard to development that is currently taking place in Kleinfontein. We have put together our papers with regard to what the court has said, because the judge would look at us that we are irresponsible as a local authority to deal with contraventions that are in Kleinfontein.
It's a zoning issue. So what is the city saying the zone should be, and what is Kleinfontein saying the zoning should be? Because they're arguing that you've changed your legal approach.
Not necessarily. They haven't submitted any papers. I raised this in the media, I think 2 months ago. We went back to our planning division and looked at what is the application of Kleinfontein. We didn't get any of the applications of the 600 dwellings that are currently constructed, and they are collecting rates and taxes, putting that money into a trust. Therefore, they have developed a local authority illegally, which I think we should have a dim view with those actions. We are open to work with people of Kleinfontein if they want to comply. We are dealing with other 17 illegal townships that are around and across the city. We are going to have a process of engaging them and assisting them to have compliance, but also to have a regard on the regulations of environment, on the regulations of planning, because unsuspecting individuals bought land and they developed expensive houses. But if you look at what they did, there's elements of degradation of environment and land that in the long run, we're going to see people experiencing flooding. And they're going to come and say, we're looking for temporary accommodation and we're looking for alternative support from government. And those that have sold these lands, they disappear immediately after this incident, disasters have taken place.
So again, I did ask you two questions. What is the zoning that the city wants, and what is the zoning that Kleinfontein wants?
Kleinfontein is an agricultural land. They continued to develop without the compliances of the planning division. We want them to submit all their plans to the city. We need to recoup monies that they've collected for many years. That's why in the current valuation, we have given them a new valuation role, and many individuals in that area are complaining that we've raised their rates and taxes, which is correct. If they wanted to become a suburb, a gated community, they could have applied. We having a planning division that deals with those applications, but they didn't. They have short-circuited the process, undermined the planning regulations, continue to collect money. Why are they collecting rates and taxes on a land that is agriculture?
Is it private land? Somebody owns it and is sharing it within itself, or is this municipal land?
It's a private land that they are owning as a body corporate. But what they needed to do was, when they start to develop it into a township, they know that they were supposed, because there are engineers that are residing in that area. They know that they were supposed to have applied for the land right use from the city, and they needed to comply with certain regulations that have to do with protection of wetlands, roads. They needed to get permission from roads access. They needed to do all those things that comes with local authority permission. But they had a disregard on that part, and that's why we are pursuing them to do the right thing through the courts.
I dislike the whataboutism argument, but that'll be the first thing that'll come up. What about all the other informal settlements in Tshwane?
All other informal settlements, remember, informal settlements, people get in, grab land, they put in checks. We get in there, have a conversation with them, we decant them, we resettle them. In terms of land that is available, that is ready for them to be allocated service stands. But with Kleinfontein, you can't relocate them. You can't do anything to them. The only thing that you need to do is to make sure that they comply. And we want to work with them. We're not punishing them. In the court process, we are responding to a finding against us. There was an order from the court, and we're acting on that court order. But otherwise, all other illegal townships, we are going to help them, to work with them. We're going to have sessions, conversation on how they are going to be assisted to comply. In terms of development funding and other things that needs to be carried, environmental impact assessment cost, engineering, those illegal townships, they need to be able to pay for such developmental costs, because they in the initial place they bought land, and what they did was incorrect. But we are not going to demolish. We are going to work with them and say this is how we're going to help them to make sure that they resettle properly. And even Clairefontaine wanted to take that route, but we have a court order before us that we need to respond to.
Okay, so if Clairefontaine tomorrow said, all right, we will obey all of the bylaws that the city of Tshwane has thrown at us, including the zoning issue, and you say that it's agricultural and yet they're building houses and complexes on there. If they say, all right, we're going to follow all the bylaws, here's all our rates and taxes that we need to pay, here's all the plans and things, would the city of Tshwane allow it to continue?
We will do that. We will agree with that development.
But it's just that they're not following the bylaws, and the big issue is the zoning, that it's agricultural and yet there are people living there.
Correct. That has been our the bone of contention with us and them. And we are saying in the last 8 years, the DA-led coalition ignored what was before them to do the right thing.
Okay, so
and we just want to work with any community,
we can change
irrespective of any race.
You can change zoning, though, Aaron. That's what you do. So would you be willing to change the zoning to residential?
If they apply, we'll do that.
If they follow the guidelines and
if
the
they
rules.
follow the right correction channels, do applications, they will be assisted because it is in the best interest of the city to have private development that needs to take place. We are supporting a lot. If you go to the Pretoria East, Baldwin is building lots of houses. Cosmopolitan is doing the same. Velumex, they are building, but they follow a due process with regard to our planning scheme and land use scheme.
And legality of a self-declared Afrikaner-only community?
It is not a conversation on the table now.
Right.
The Constitution, we've read what is allowed in the Constitution. But if we're building public roads, if there's land adjacent, we will develop. We'll use the local authority to make sure that they comply like any other community.
Aaron Maluleke, Tshwane, MMC for Human Settlements. Thanks very much. It's 9 minutes to 8.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
It looks like the worst of the truck crash on the Mike 1 North in Joburg at 11th Avenue is being cleared, although it is still quite heavy, although there is some movement after that now, if you know what I mean. So coming from Boyson's up to 11th Avenue, it is heavy, and then the traffic stays right through to about Greyston Drive. N3 is the problem this morning from Ilan's interchange all the way up to the link to the N12 East at Galuli's, and a crash coming in off Ekurhuleni on the N12 at the Edenvale exit, just after the Edenvale exit. So queues on your way to Galuli's interchange on that run through as well. A reminder, the N14 is heavily backed on your way to Pretoria. This is the Krugersdorp Highway. Operations there at the Brakfontein interchange, pushing a queue all the way back to the R55 Pretoria West exit. And Solomon Mshlangu coming out of Mamelodi or going into Mamelodi from Silver Lakes. There's some big traffic on Solomon Mshlangu around the N4. And the N4 from Watermeyer Street, well, in fact, from Rousseau Street down through Watermeyer towards the N1 highway on your way to Pretoria or Hatfield, quite heavy as well. Stationary truck getting out of Pietermaritzburg up Town Hill has been causing some problems this morning. It's still very slow getting through that way. Breakdown on the N2 North before Gateway. If you're on your way to the airport, that's quite a heavy standstill from as far back as Queen Nandi Drive territory. And Cape Town this morning, everything on a go slow because of heavy mist, particularly the R300 from Delft up towards Brackenfell. The N1 through Brackenfell very slow, and there's also a lot of pressure on Marine Drive this morning. Tableview through Sunset Beach, and then Milnerton High School. You pick up another heavy queue right through to around Lagoon Beach. Worth a mention, the M5 still pretty heavy, an unusual queue extending from Kenilworth right through that N2 and up towards Kuburg interchange. Rob Byrne, SAFM Traffic.
Call us on 086 000 2032.
Promise you we got good news stories coming up. South African grappling with an unemployment rate. There are some great news when it comes to SETAs. It's not all bad news. And hopefully we'll talk to the KwaZulu-Natal Department of Health. They have a new collaboration aimed at transforming the healthcare delivery in KwaZulu-Natal. So we'll hear some good news stories. Now, though, let's go to the phone calls. 086 000 2032. Let's start with Vusi in Midrand. You want to talk about the ANC? Vusi, go ahead.
Good morning to you, John.
Yep.
Look, man, it's just unfortunately that we thought people like Medu Sikikawa, when they go to school, they will change the circumstances and respect scholarship, because you can't be a scholar and start to be mailing yourself with a party which we all see that it's a state, unless a person want to remain naive and want to force things which are not there in life. The ANC, look, John, I will tell you here now, the ANC state, you can try whatever you do, you can force whatever you want, the ANC state. But for me, for comrades like Melu Sikekawa, I think because they went to school, that thing they will quickly lead us in terms of to show that they are scholars, they went to school, but not to hang themselves within a dead wood, because the ANCs arrive in the cemetery whereby it's supposed to be buried. Then we start a new life, because young people are looking forward to leaders like Melu Sikekawa.
Right.
But Melu Sikekawa is delaying and is undermining the importance of going to school.
But are you saying that he can't criticize the ANC externally?
In fact, he is supposed to criticize. In fact, today he was not criticizing. He was showing that we need to improve 1, 2, 3.
Right.
But because we are speaking with people who are still in denial,
Oh, I
who are
understand.
hoping
Right.
something which a miracle to happen, you see.
All right, Vusi in Midrand, thank you very much for that. Let's just get rid of that. Let's go to, is it Derek? You want to talk about the Khoisan? Go ahead, Derek.
Yeah, good morning to you and the listeners. Very interestingly, often we've had the spokesman for the Khoisan on this program and others about who was here first and so on, which has always been very interesting, and I'm sure that everyone agrees they're very, very old. They'll be a long, long time ago. But I've just been on holiday down to Storby in the Cape, and there's a cave down there, 20 k's from Storby, which about 10 years ago they discovered that modern man is actually not 40,000 years old as thought, it's 80,000. And visiting that museum a couple of weeks back, the archaeologists there, they've got a whole room dedicated to that cave, very interesting, and audio visuals a lot. And now they reckon that people were in that cave 146,000 years ago. Now, I find this so very interesting, and I think it would be worthwhile for your producer to go through to that museum, talk to the archaeologist there, who's just a standby there, and get a debate going between the archaeologist and the Khoisan. Maybe they've discovered something the Khoisan have they can date as well. But it's terribly interesting that that 146,000 years ago, people were actually in that cave.
Yeah, it's mind-boggling, and they've got relics of old fires that they dig down, and they can find out what people are eating. It's fascinating what's being discovered. Every day there's something new.
Yeah.
All right, Derek, thank you very much. A good suggestion. It's not a bad conversation, actually, to talk about some of these amazing histories in South Africa. Eunice, you want to talk about schooling in the UK?
Yes, John. John, I want to raise an issue of something that's unfolding at the SOAS University that's in the UK. That's a School of Oriental and African Studies.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this university promotes a decolonized agenda. And something that's happening there is that the head of the Palestine Society, that's Haya Adams, she's a second-year law student and an international affairs student. She's been expelled from that university for trying to highlight what's happening in the Gaza, and obviously linking it to the university's agenda. Now, you might think, why I'm raising this issue? There's a South African link here. Do you know who's the rector of that university?
Tell me.
One Adam Habib, who was the head of Wits University when the Fees Must Fall campaign was on.
Right.
Now, there's a major problem at that university where I've seen a video of a former student, Dr. Asim Qureshi, for example, who burnt his degree in disgust. He said he cannot associate with this university for the first time, having expelled a student, who's fighting for that cause. And I think maybe you should get Adam Habib on to answer these questions.
Okay, that's Eunice. Yeah, it's interesting. I just first time I've seen that story, so we'll have to keep a close eye on what's happening there. It is the expulsion of Adam shows maybe hypocrisy of the institution that teaches one set of values while practicing another. Adam also reflects on the paths forward in the struggle for liberation of Palestine. The president of the Palestine Society, the School of Oriental African Studies, talks about her expulsion. You can find out more about that story. But yeah, definitely something we'll keep an eye on. Let's take some voice notes to get us up to the news at 8.
If the Plainfontaine people go to Trump and tell him he can up the import duties by another 10 or 20%, that would suit South Africa very well. Thank you.
Good morning, SAFM listeners. I would like to weigh in on this request for magistrate to get salary increase of 30%. Listeners, I would like to support the increase of 30% for the magistrate. I was working at the court. I was privileged to see their salaries. I can tell you, really, they don't deserve the salaries that they are getting. Please, President Ramaphosa, approve their salary increase. Thank you. Michael Makete, Mtene Msasangeni.
Good morning, John. This is Larata from Krugersdorp. Yes, you're correct. Westridge, I'm from that area. Westridge has always had problems with the School, Rodibot, and probably many other schools. However, parents have relinquished their rights to parenting to schools. A school cannot fully discipline your child. They have them for however many hours, and they can discipline them from there. But then when they go home, you as a parent, you need to then discipline your child. It's a sort of like a collaborative effort. But I see a lot of parents are really relinquishing their rights to parenting. They no longer want to discipline their kids. Thank you.
Yeah, that was the message I was getting from Professor Gazani Baloy, our guest that we spoke to earlier, who's saying how important the parenting is at disciplining the children. We'll take your voice notes. We'll take more calls as well later on in the show. Coming up, some good news. It's 8 o'clock.
Outsurance will go out of their way to try and save you money on your car insurance. If they can't, ask for 500 Rand. Time to switch and save. Call 08600 60,000 today.
In our top stories, another suspect arrested over attempted robbery of MPs and court to deliver judgment on Katiso Mulife's bail application. Good morning. Police in the Western Cape have arrested a second suspect in connection with the attempted robbery of 3 DA members of Parliament in Philippi on the Cape Flats yesterday. They say the 16-year-old boy was arrested in Brown's Farm this morning. Another suspect was arrested last night. This followed an attempt to hijack the MPs when they were returning from an oversight visit of a police station. Police spokesperson Novela Potelwa.
As part of an investigation into an attack on 3 members of parliament in Philippi on Tuesday afternoon, Western Cape Serious Violent Crime detectives have arrested a 16-year-old in the early hours of Wednesday morning. This brings to 2 the number of suspects arrested for the crime incident. The first one is under police guard in hospital after he was arrested on Tuesday evening. The 2 suspects face attempted murder and attempted hijacking charges.
The Alexandra Magistrates Court in Johannesburg is today expected to deliver judgment in the bail application of the accused in the DJ Somebody murder case. Katiso Katie Mulife is accused of ordering a hit on the celebrity DJ, whose real name is Opa Sifoka. Horisani Sitole reports.
Katiso Katie Mulife and 3 others have been charged with the murder of DJ Somebody and his 2 bodyguards, Busiso Mukwena and Sandile Mjeza. The three alleged hitmen are Michael Puletau, Musa Kekana, and Diego Floyd Mabusela. Molefe was previously granted bail by the High Court in a separate case involving the murder of an engineer and whistleblower, Armand Swart. Molefe's lawyer says, while this court is not bound by the High Court's decision, Molefe adhered to all bail conditions until his arrest.
Families of some of the Life Esidimeni victims say prosecuting those found accountable for only 2 deaths is unacceptable. This after the National Prosecuting Authority informed the Families Committee that there was insufficient evidence to pursue more cases. Last year, an inquest in the High Court in Pretoria found the former Gauteng Health MEC, Qedani Mahlangu, and the ex-Mental Health Directorate, Mahabu Manamela, responsible for the deaths of patients, some from malnutrition and dehydration. Judge Mineo Tefu ruled the 2 were negligent. Committee member Christine Umalo.
Our concerns as family members is that from 144 to basically to 9 and now to 2, what really changed, what was happening there? And when we inquired, they basically said that the evidence from the SAPS, the fact that they are prosecuting based on the information they got from the SAPS. And we obviously as families were not very happy because we work very closely with SAPS regarding this matter.
The hearing of the Competition Commission's pursuit for justice in the Rand manipulation matter is set to resume in the Constitutional Court this morning. The Commission has stressed that the issue of jurisdiction is critical because without it a regulatory gap would remain. It says this would effectively allow anyone to collude in fixing the Rand's value without consequence. Last year, the Competition Appeal Court dismissed the cases against some of the 28 banks that were accused of Rand manipulation. Advocate Tembeka Ngokaitobi, who is representing the Competition Commission.
So the pleading before the tribunal and before the CAC has been consistent with the arguments I am making today, which is there is jurisdiction because the economic activity complained of has an effect in South Africa. So that has never changed. This is not a new case.
Further afield, and finally, Mexican authorities have discovered 6 human heads beside a road in the center of the country. Organized criminal gangs in Mexico often use extreme violence to intimidate their rivals and the general population. The BBC's Will Grant has the details.
The 6 severed heads were found in the early hours of Tuesday morning on a road which links the broadly peaceful states of Puebla and Tlaxcala. Local media has reported that a blanket was left next to them with a message issuing a warning to rival gangs, apparently signed by a group called La Barredora, meaning the sweeper. As well as drug trafficking, there is an issue in the region with fuel smuggling, known as huachicoleo, which generates billions of dollars a year for the groups behind the illegal activity. So far, the federal authorities have not commented on the grisly killings.
Recapping the top story, police in the Western Cape have arrested a second suspect in connection with the attempted robbery of 3 DA members of Parliament in Philippi on the Cape Flats yesterday. For SAFM News, I am Anne Musa.
Outsurance will go out of their way to try and save you money on your car insurance. If they can't, ask for 500 Rand. Visit outsurance.co.za today. You always get something out.
Outsurance is simply the best at beating their best. Outsurance scores 9.99 on the Hello Peter Trust Index, a near 5-star rating on Google Reviews, and have outperformed their personal best in the number of complaints per 1,000 claims referred to the Ombudsman. Switch to the insurer that delivers on price, service and trust. Call 08600 60,000 or visit outsurance.co.za today. You always get something out. A licensed insurer and FSP. T's, C's and information is online.
It's a very good morning to you. In your SFM sports headlines, soccer action as Mamelodi Sundowns eye another statement win. They take on the PSL newcomers Magesi in Polokwane. And in rugby, we'll bring you the Springboks ringing in the changes ahead of Saturday's Rugby Championship clash with Australia in Cape Town. Details just before 8:30.
SAFM. guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Good morning. Traffic on Joburg's Mike 1 starting to flow again after the earlier truck crash in the Houghton Estate area. It has left a residue of queues, so you will sit between Boyson's and Sandton, although the big obstruction around 11th Avenue is out of the way. N3, Elan's interchange up to Galuli's is heavy. N12 into Galuli's being held by a crash just past the Edenvale exit this morning. And if you're on your way to Pretoria, try and avoid the N14, the Krugersdorp Highway, an operation at Brockfontein interchange, pushing a heavy queue all the way back to the R55 exit. Coming out of Pretoria, crash on the M1 South before Buerta Avenue and Linwood Road towards the highway. That also being held by a crash just before you get to the N1 Highway Bridge. Now, Durban, the stationary vehicle on the N2 North before Gateway's been there all morning. Traffic all the way back through Queen Nundy Drive, so that's quite heavy. N2 South from Getty to Spaghetti Junction. Looks like something's broken down there. And a stationary truck still with us on Town Hill, leaving Pietermaritzburg towards Hilton, remains busy. A lot of congestion. Cape Town's Brackenfell, Kraaifontein areas. The N1's heavy. The R300 North is heavy. And local routes under pressure because of thick mist in that area. A breakdown on the N2 inbound at Jan Smuts Drive. And the N1 coming from Belleville, pretty slow all the way through to the elevated freeway and the city centre. With your traffic update, I'm Rob Byrne.
The Morning Brief, Monday to Friday, 6 to 9 a.m. The Morning Brief, Monday to Friday, 6 to 9 a.m.
9 minutes past 8. John Kerricker in for Tulas. Good morning to you. Good news coming up in a moment. You know, we always hear this bad news about CETAs, and Melissa was telling us at the top of the show about some of the scandals going on there. Well, there's good news. One of the training authorities, the Chemical Industries and Education and Training Authority, has secured its third consecutive clean audit, a full 100% performance score, leading transformative investments in digital skills and the green economy training. So we're going to talk about what they are doing so differently to everybody else. And then a story that we've pushed back a couple of days because of a number of issues. But the good news is the South African Medical Association have pledged to work together with the KwaZulu-Natal KwaZulu-Natal Department of Health and the Medical Association are working together aimed at transforming healthcare delivery in KwaZulu-Natal. So those are a couple of good news stories coming up this hour. As always, we take your phone calls. We're going to take your WhatsApps as well. 0614-104-107 is the WhatsApp number. You can send text and voice notes. Plenty on the magistrates' increases. 0614-104-107. Just to run through those. The 34% increase, I think it's crash to talk about the actual numbers, but a 34% increase seems a lot. We heard from the magistrates earlier on today saying that they were promised this money. It's over years that this is built up. What do you make of that? 0614-104-107. We can go to calls as well on 086 000 2032. That in a minute. Let's talk about these magistrate salaries.
Morning, John. Honestly, magistrates taking home 45 to 55,000 a month. Quite honestly, that's just pathetic. They should at least be taking 90, more than 90K a month. 45 to 55,000 a month for magistrates. Those guys, they do work. They really do work. It's just pathetic, man. The president should honestly give them what they deserve. Thanks, John. This is Mtunzi.
Good morning, SAFM listeners. My question is, judges now want an increase of 30-something%, but when there was a deadlock between public servants and the government, they ruled that it was unconstitutional. The government doesn't have money. So now, how come the government has money when it's them? Thank you very much.
Let's go to calls. Mbuyisa is in Pietermaritzburg. You want to talk about the ANC?
Yes, how are you, John?
Lekker.
I'm fine. Look, man, I'm worried with the manner in which the ANC is doing things. You know, at some point, former President Motlanthe in fact, told us about the word perception, because we are dealing with perceptions. As a politician, you must guard against perception, negative perception that people make. Like, for instance, you spoke to Mtumiseni Ntuli. What he said made sense, okay? But at this point in time, this is not what the people of South Africa want to hear. People of South Africa don't want to hear those nitty-gritties, especially the rules and what. All they want to do, they want to hear if what Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi have said is correct. So the perception created now, I'm not saying he is correct. He may be correct, I'm not sure, but he may be correct. But the perception to the South African, created to the South African, is that the ANC is hiding something. And as a result, the ANC will forever lose. So all I'm saying, in everything that the ANC is doing, they must guard against creating unnecessary wrong perception, unnecessarily so, to the people of South Africa. Because whenever there is this thing at hand, it is very important than those nitty-gritties. Now you want to go to discuss things that create confusion to the South Africans. South Africans don't know those parliamentary rules. You understand? So I would request that for the ANC to save itself, they must stop creating this perception that they are hiding. Yes, they are not hiding. They are not hiding. And I'm not even suggesting that they are hiding.
But there's the perception.
But what I'm saying is that the perception they are creating is that they are hiding. Thank you very much.
It's that difficult balance, isn't it, between having to follow the nitty-gritty without being seen to be causing trouble or to slowing processes down. It's a fine balance, but is it all about perception? Peter in Mpumalanga, you want to talk about something completely different? Go ahead.
Yes, hello, how are you?
Lekker.
All right, man. Yes, I just want to if you can help us bring the people from CFR in Gauteng to come and explain to us in regard with the firearms process, because when you apply, maybe let's say I'm in Mpumalanga, I'll apply from maybe the police station, any Kwamhlanga maybe or Siyabuswa, then it will go to Nelspruit first, then it will take, maybe they will tell me 6 months, then after 6 months again, it will move from Nelspruit to Gauteng again, where you're gonna say, they say minimum 3 months, at least you will wait for that, then that's when it is finalized. Then they will send you the certificate and then you can collect your firearm. So in my case, it has taken maybe, now it's almost 6 months, and then they told me that it's in Gauteng, but it's already 6 months now. So maybe if you can assist us, bring them, one of the officials, to explain to us, because I think somewhere, somehow, something is not going right, because especially because in my situation, the firearm, we need it for security. We have a farm at home which was run by my uncle, and we were threatened, attacked over and over. About 20 cows were taken, and then there was a time even my uncle got sick that he couldn't even.
And you're just trying to follow the law. You're just trying to do everything legally, and they're making it very difficult for you.
Yes, it's very difficult, because I even thought about buying an illegal firearm actually. And it's not at the end of the day, I'll end up in the wrong side of the law if I take it that way.
What's the name of that organization that you wanted me to talk to?
It's CFR, it's Central Firearm Registry. And when you go to the website, they have a number there that you can call. But if you call, that number is not working, doesn't go through. And then if I ask the officer where I have applied from, he told me that no, if it's in Nelspruit, he can make a follow-up. But once it is in Gauteng, they don't have a communication.
All right. We'll put it on the list, Peter. We'll see if we can get hold of them and explain that process. Let's go to one more caller before some voice notes. Is it Kandisa in the Northwest? Do you want to talk about the ANC as well?
Yes, John. Morning. How are you?
I'm fantastic. Thanks for asking.
Good. John, look, man. We talk about the NEC members, Malusi Kikaba, Senzo, and Andy Lungisa. In the ANC, John, there is a way of running things. If you are a member of ANC, you will understand how ANC operates. And John, I'm very worried because these people are NEC members. They know very well how to raise issues, because they're supposed to teach members of ANC how to handle themselves better and speak better in the public. If it's them who are saying things that are not good for ANC, they must be taken to disciplinary committee so that they they must raise those issues in the right way. You see, John.
But
you cannot wake up as an NEC member and just speak like somebody on the street.
But
why you talk up? Hello.
You see, that's. Is it not time for change? Is this not a new generation of leadership that is coming out and is openly being critical if they see problems?
John, in the ANC there are policies, there are constitution of ANC. There's no new generation. The constitution of ANC is very clear. Any member must follow the way ANC is supposed to be followed.
But if they're losing, if
you
they're losing support,
you say you are a new member. Hello, John.
Kandisa, if they're losing support and those old school style isn't working, is it not time for a new broom?
Let me tell you, John. If we didn't do well in the elections as ANC, it does not mean people they were just saying wake up and uplift your socks.
Right.
Because we want service delivery, we want jobs, we want 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now it's the time not to talk. It's time to act and do things that community wants ANC to do.
Right. All right, Kandisa in the Northwest, thank you very much for your views. Let's go to voice notes, 0614 104 107, staying with the ANC.
Morning, John. John, ANC contracted a chronic disease during Zuma. Now it's in the ICU. The doctor DA is trying to resuscitate. It's not going to work. The ANC is dead. DA, the doctor is trying to resuscitate, to throw a lifeline. It's too late for ANC, it's too late. They must start disposing their furniture, their assets. Come 2029, it's a problem. Roman from Brixton.
Good morning, John. This country is in danger. Once we align ourselves with Iran, I'm sorry, we are in serious trouble in this country. If we're not going to get rid of the ANC, this country is doomed.
Those are some of your voice notes. We're going to take a quick break. I think we're going to stay with the phone calls for a little bit, so don't go away. 086 000 2032.
The Bavarians want to rubber stamp that they are reigning champions and open the curtain with victory. Meanwhile, the Red Bulls are confident they will cause an upset. This is the Bundesliga, football as it's meant to be. Catch Bayern Munich versus RB Leipzig this Friday, 22 August at 8:30 p.m. Live on SABC Sport on DTT Channel 4. Also available on SABC Plus. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport. For the love of the game.
Call us on 086 000 2032.
All right, let's go to a good news story for you. The Chemical Industries Education and Training Authority secured its third consecutive clean audit, achieved a full 100% performance score, and is leading transformative investments in digital skills in the green economy training. Public sector excellence is possible in the world we're living in. Yershan Pillay is the CEO of the Chemical Industries Education and Training Authority. Yershan, first of all, congratulations. What are you doing differently to everybody else?
Thank you, John. Very good morning to you and to your listeners. And once again, we're quite proud of our third consecutive clean audit outcome. Why are these important? Because it signals public trust. It signals that we have accounted for every rand spent, every target met, and that allows us to innovate for impact. So I think part of the things that we've done right over the years is to show that, if you have, firstly, it takes a team. This is not just an individual effort, but we've got a collective that works and works well. We hire right, we've got the right people in the right positions. But we also focus on impact. And it's not just about clean audits. It's about, translating those clean audits into sustainable livelihoods. So over the last few years, we've impacted more than 200,000 lives, mostly poor and rural community members, with some form of service to better their lives, whether that be internships, bursaries, apprenticeships, but also digital skills for the new economy. So we've really looked at, not just compliance, but using compliance as a strong base for innovating and doing things differently.
We do see negative stories about the SETAs. So what are you doing differently, and how are you managing to do things differently compared to the other ones?
Well, I think, sometimes the negative stories are a bit misleading in terms of not painting a true picture of the objective facts. The facts really are that there are quite a few SETAs who have achieved not just clean audits, but 100% performance, but are making a significant impact in communities. And again, one of the things that we're really doing differently together with other SETAs as well is to really focus on three things, really. One is leadership, making sure that, you've got good governance, sound administration in place, and that you have the right leadership that's able to drive these outcomes. The second is culture. We've got a zero-tolerance approach to non-compliance, so even a 1% deviation on any policies is just not acceptable. And so we drive a zero-tolerance culture to non-compliance. And then thirdly is also about hiring the right people, making sure you're focused on the goals and the outcomes that we need to achieve, and collaboration. I think we work well with industry. Our last Smart Skills Center in Gauteng was opened with PG Glass, one of the largest glass manufacturing companies in the country. And today it's having a significant impact in access to digital technologies for skilling and training our young people. So those are some of the factors that not just us, but quite a few SETAs are implementing.
You're in a difficult time now, especially with the chemical industry's education and training industry. With the onset of AI, things are changing quite radically when it comes to chemicals and research using this new technology.
Absolutely. And that, I think, combined with the fact that we've got low economic growth, and so with economic growth staggering between 0.6% and 1.6%, it means that you can only train for so much. So we don't want to train for unemployment, but as we train as well, we need those young people to be absorbed. The reason that the absorption rates are so low is because our companies are struggling, employers are struggling to employ, and so training does not equal jobs. But what we can do is to then support other forms of interventions. And so we also fund SMMEs, startups, cooperatives, which a lot of the research does not focus on. We don't just issue certifications. We also do on-the-job training. We fund short skills programs. And over the last few years, in the chemical sector, 2,136 SMMEs have been funded by Chieta, and they are creating jobs as a result of that. So I think, and then coupled with that, we've got 9 smart skill centers, one in every province. Minister Buti Manamela will be opening the 9th one in the Free State, in Pura di Chaba. All of them are in rural communities, and more than 40,000 people have accessed some form of service, a skill or training in our 9 smart skill centers across the country.
Tshwane, are you called to do talks to all the other SETAs and give your tips and advice? If you're so successful, and I realize you said others are, but again, we hear these negative stories. Are you invited? Do the CEOs all get together and have a conversation?
We do, and we do share ideas, we do share best practices, and we do implement those best practices. And we actually have established what is called the Strategic High Impact Programs Committee, which we are coordinating strategic programs together in order to scale. Because the problem is not zero impact. The problem is insufficient scale and the ability to reach more people and have a greater impact. And so what we're then trying to do is to collaborate amongst ourselves, and we have established forums, we have established structures such as the one I've mentioned. We've got 6 programs. One of them is a program on green hydrogen, for example, that's looking at 3 or 4 SETAs working together to establish a center for green hydrogen in order to grow our green hydrogen economy and therefore create almost about 14,000 jobs over the next 5 years. As a result of just working together.
Yes, Mpile, congratulations to you and the team, the CEO of the Chemical Industries Education and Training Authority, Chieta.
This is SAFM Sport with Zai Khan.
Good morning. Let's kick it off with soccer. Mamelodi Sundowns headline tonight's Betway Premiership action as the champions travel to Polokwane for a showdown with newcomers Magesi. So it's going to be a test of pedigree against some fresh ambition tonight. As well, Orlando Pirates will be looking to thrill their home crowd at Orlando Stadium. They host Stellenbosch in what promises to be a fiery encounter. And in Durban, AmaZulu aim to make home advantage count. They take on Marumo Gallants. All three matches kick off at 7:30 this evening. Let's go to the Proteas story where they struck first blood in Cairns, beating Australia by 98 runs in the opening ODI. Thanks to a 5-star performance from spinner Keshav Maharaj, his 5 for 33 not only sealed South Africa's win but also made him the first South African spinner to reach 300 international wickets. Now, amongst his victims were Marnus Labuschagne, Cameron Green and Alex Carey in what was his maiden ODI 5-4. Maharaj says it was a relief to finally achieve it.
Yeah, look, I'm not someone who sort of bowls for fifers. I'm a process-driven person, so I judge myself on my consistency and my length. So, yeah, I think it was more a sigh of relief to finally tick the box. And yeah, I mean, you dream of playing international cricket, you dream of putting match-winning performances, and the dreams keep building, but to be able to sort of tick the box of getting a 5 will always be special, but probably more a sigh of relief than anything else.
Now, Springbok coach Rassie Erasmus has made sweeping changes to his side for Saturday's Rugby Championship clash against Australia in Cape Town. 10 new faces coming to the starting lineup after last weekend's shock 38-22 defeat in Johannesburg. Injuries to Siya Kolisi, Pieter-Steph du Toit and wingers Kurtley Aronson and Edwill van der Merwe have forced some reshuffling, with Jesse Creel handed the captaincy and Oxenshire named vice-captain. Experience returning in the back line too, with Andre Pollard at fly-half and Damien Delander back in midfield. Let's go to the former South African swimmer, Tatiana Smith, admitting she still has the urge to return to the pool following her retirement after the 2024 Olympic Games. The 28-year-old shocked the sporting world when she announced her retirement after winning silver in the 200-meter breaststroke final in Paris at the age of just 27. Now, Smith, who was previously known as Skoenmaker, is South Africa's most successful Olympian with 2 golds and 2 silvers, and all her decision to call time on her professional career remains one she has continued to make daily.
I think it's finding like other things. If you've been seeing what I've been doing, I've been challenging myself to crazy things. I'm running 21Ks, I'm signing up for a triathlon. So you can definitely see that sporting and like that urge of wanting to go back. But yeah, just finding different goals and challenging myself in different ways. I think it's really hard to change a way of life and a mindset that I've had for my whole life growing up. So for me to keep myself a bit more sane, and just to figure out this process, I signed myself up for these goals and so that I can have a bit of routine, that my life doesn't look completely different.
And finally, former UFC middleweight champion Dricus du Plessis says he'll take time out from the octagon after losing his belt to Russia's Khamzat Chimaev at UFC 319. Du Plessis was dominated on the mat in Chicago, and the South African who escaped without major damage, he's targeting an early 2026 return after a full rebuild. For more sport, join John Gericke right here on SFM at 12:30. I'm Zai Khan.
Good morning, I'm Anne Musa. In the headlines, police in the Western Cape say the 2 suspects arrested in connection with the attempted robbery of 3 DA members of Parliament in Philippi on the Cape Flats are facing charges including attempted murder. The Alexandra Magistrates Court in Johannesburg is today expected to deliver judgment in the bail application of the accused in the DJ Somebody murder case. Katiso Katie Mulife is accused of ordering a hit on the celebrity DJ. And police in Mpumalanga have confirmed the 2 people arrested in connection with the murder of Sergeant Lawrence Tshwane have abandoned their bail application. I'll have details on these and other stories at 9.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Pretoria bound, still worth avoiding the N14. There's a heavy clog between the R55 Pretoria West exit and the N1 Brockfontein interchange. So come off at that R55 and hit some alternative routes to avoid the worst of that. The N1 going south out of PTA, a crash before Boortse Avenue. Traffic back towards Rigel Avenue. Joburg's Mike 1 fairly slow today from Woodmead down into the Melrose area. Crash coming out of Davyton on the N12 at Pitfontein. Quite a queue to work through there on your way through to Benoni. Durban side, I understand the N2 northbound, the breakdown at Umhlanga is being cleared, but it's just taking a little while for all that bottleneck of backed up traffic to move through the area. So if you're on your way to the airport, it is slow, but it should start to move. There is another breakdown on the N2 going south into Spaghetti Junction. So the usual backlog there from Umgeta Road. Cape Town side, a crash between Somerset West and Stellenbosch. It's the R44 just before Annandale Road. That's quite heavy. And a lot of traffic still coming out of Tableview through Milnerton area this morning. Might be a little bit of mist to contend with, but it is heavy from sort of Racecourse Road territory, Milnerton High School, all the way down to Milner Road in Parton Islands. Rob Byrne, SAFM Traffic.
Call us on 086 000 2032.
Into the last half hour of the show, your opportunity to have your say. 086 000 2032 or WhatsApp 0614 104 107. It's John in for Tulas. Let's go to Thabo in Harrismith. Go ahead, Thabo.
Tulas, how's it?
It's John in for Tulas, but go ahead.
Oh, not John.
No worries.
You know, you are quite correct. When you said ANC now need new blood.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you're 100% right. Even me, I agree on that because you know what, the leadership that they are there in ANC now, the leadership that is holding ANC now, I don't trust all of them. Because really, what the result of ANC, it's in this mess because of them. So we are 100% right. Then ANC, we need the new blood so that we can start afresh, and we must take out all of old leadership. I think everything will be fine. Lastly, I just hate people who are busy calling ANC and saying ANC is dead. Yes, ANC is dead, and some of them, they are foreigners, and it's boring me because it's dead of they are the risk as a foreigners, but now people, they are not ashamed to come and call and say ANC is dead. What is dead?
All right, Thabo in Harrismith saying that maybe new blood is needed in the ANC. Let's go to Solomon. What do you think?
Good morning, John.
Yes, Solomon, go ahead.
I wanted to go in as anonymous. However, my identity is now open. But I was part of the function which was attended by Senzo and addressed by Senzo in northern KwaZulu-Natal. I really do not believe that Senzo committed any offense. What he did was to paint a scenario which said the ANC is on the brink of collapse if no necessary actions are taken, particularly to entrench and strengthen the renewal program so that the ANC can continue to inspire the South Africans in their majority. Mm-hmm. And he said, if we don't do that, we stand a very good chance of collapsing and being liquidated. I do not know how the head office interpreted his words, but he was only motivating the volunteers who were there. I really do not think that he committed any offense, neither did he campaigned the organization. Mm. He was just cautioning the members to say there are serious existential challenges that are faced by the ANC, and if the ANC does not deal with them, it faces a very good chance of being liquidated.
I think part of the problem is it's giving the opposition, or whoever that might be, EFF, MK, DA, doesn't matter. It's giving them fuel to add to their fire.
But I think they are above average. They know what are the conditions that are obtaining out there, and they know what is wrong in our society. Part of which was not created by the ANC, but they are systemic challenges. So to point them out in the open, in the manner or by way of inspiring the volunteers to come back and leaders alike to deal with the issues, I think he was only fair with himself and fair with the people who were there. But it remains the matter of the SG to decide what to do with it. But that is my opinion, because I was part of the function which I was addressed by Senzo.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's thank you to we'll call you anonymous now so that we don't repeat your name. But apologies for that. It was that Professor Beki Ngomazulu kind of reiterated that as well. That did the Secretary General have to come out so strongly against these two individuals? Would it just have sort of faded away if he hadn't said anything? JCK, also want to talk about the ANC. Go ahead.
Hi, John Vulligate. Are you well?
Lekker, thank you.
John Vulligate, I would like to make a disclaimer before. I'm a member of ANC.
Sorry, JCK, you broke up. You remember?
I remember good standing.
All right, I'm gonna put you on. I'm gonna put you on hold if you don't mind, JCK. We'll see if we can get you a better line. Maybe if you just spin around or something and try and get a better thing.
Around. Can you hear me?
There we go. Let's do it one more time.
Yeah, let me make a disclaimer. I'm a member of ANC in good standing.
Mm-hmm.
The post conferences of the ANC are compromising us greatly. You know, the after effects of the conference, people are paged. You understand? So that paging, it's killing the ANC, and people are not aware, or they are aware, or do it intentionally. It's not good. The mayor is going to be paged, or the MM is going to be paged. Where are we going as the ANC? This faction is killing the ANC. I'm telling you, check the after 2026 election or come 2029, ANC will be nowhere because of this function. It's time they do something about this. This thing, Gigawa, and they didn't do anything wrong. Why is the freedom of speech? Even if they do it internally, nothing is going to be done. No wonder Mukwara, they said it publicly, though there was a protocol. Those people, they are the senior ANC members. They know what is right and what is wrong. So what they've done is something wrong with that. That is the face of the ANC of today. You are hating us, and you are going to be hurt after elections. Let me rest my case for now. Jessica, counter from Sina.
JCK, you're with SAFM's 20 to 9. Let's take voice notes on this topic.
Morning, John. Dumi from KZN. John, I just want to reflect on the sentiments of the previous caller about the state of the ANC and its two NEC members. Look, I think there are two types of ANCs here. There's an ANC that was able to criticize Zuma openly, and there's an ANC where members must toe the line. Thank you.
All right, what else we got? Plenty other voice notes. Let's go to the magistrates for a little bit.
Morning, John. Those ones, they don't even deserve increase, those ones. They release criminals. They took some bribes every day. Those magistrates. They release criminals. They take bribes every day. They don't deserve anything. They don't deserve any increase.
Those magistrates shouldn't get this increase because they've got other source of income, like the bribes that they receive when they preside over matters, whether it's in a civil court or in a criminal court. I'm a victim of that system of theirs that is affecting us anonymous from Wheatbank, the most corrupt court in the land.
Yeah, wish you had called us, Anonymous. Love to have that conversation for a little bit. Then also we spoke about Kleinfontein out in the east of Pretoria.
Hey, John, you've ignored the random voice note talking about raising tariffs and Trump and people of Kleinfontein. I think the suggestion is that people of Kleinfontein or Afrikaners must just do as they wish because we're going to be afraid of tariffs. This voice note does not suggest or does not request that Afrikaners get into a plane and go to Trump and stay with them. So please, man, this guy, he needs to catch a wake up. We have rules. Thanks, it's Bongi.
John, good morning. I'm Tagatai online. The location of Mvaba. I heard there is a university that is about to be built by the African speaking organization. I'm happy with that. As a black person, I so wish we black people we can also collect money and open our own university that is going to teach our learners in our language, Xhosa. We must stop blaming the other people who like and love their languages. We must also follow the good path of doing the same thing. We want to know Mandarin before we know Xhosa. Thanks, John Takata.
As your voice notes, we'll take more calls and voice notes in a bit.
The only talk radio morning breakfast show that makes sense. The Morning Brief.
Just about 8:45, the KwaZulu-Natal Department of Health and the newly established KwaZulu-Natal provincial branch of the South African Medical Association have pledged to work together. This collaboration aims to transform the healthcare delivery in the province. It promises stronger advocacy, better policy coordination, and a more unified approach to tackling the health system challenges, especially those out in the rural community. Dr. Zanele Bikicha is the SA Medical Association Vice Chairperson. Doc, it sounds like great news for the people in KwaZulu-Natal.
Hi, good morning. Thank you very much, Sean. It is, as summer, we've got several branches all over South Africa, and in KZN particularly, we've got 3. So it was about time that we, consolidated so that on provincial matters that, speak to all of us, we then have one structure that is then able to engage with government. And it's also important, to actually ensure that doctors are leading these discussions going into the likes of NHI. There's been too many other parties, legals and all of that have had more to say about where the future of healthcare in South Africa should be going than doctors. So we're hoping to solidify our voice and also make sure that we are consolidated in engaging with the Department of Health.
Yeah, and you've gone from this national body and you're going to focus down to more specific areas. How important is that?
It's very important because, at a national level, yes, you can make broader decisions, but at provincial level, you do have where the nuances are. You do have where the specific issues are that need, collaboration, whether it's with certain DDGs, where the budgets are also allocated, and there's also issues that are region-specific that then cannot be ventilated at national level. So to unlock them, you then would have to be, specific in certain areas.
There's a shortage of doctors. We've heard about this, and when we spoke to the Premier of KwaZulu-Natal, he admitted that as well. We have a shortage of facilities in the province. What's going to change?
There's definitely a huge shortage of doctors. As you know, there has been an effort for 100 medical officers along with 50 specialists. This is just for the doctors. They did advertise for nurses, for pharmacists, and data clerks and others, because we know our health system needs, a range of clinicians. But now, speaking on doctors, even with that 150 that is being added, it is not enough. The World Health Organization tells you that to safely be able to service a population, you need a ratio of at least 1 to 1,000, 1 doctor to 1,000 patients. In South Africa, we are only sitting at 0.3. So even the NEC has self-admitted, even this 100 is not enough to fill what we should be doing to be able to, fill out the post. hoping to do is, to continue with the engagement. We have agreed that we're going to support the fight with the Treasury and also speak with the President to ensure that health is given a priority in terms of budgeting. So we've said that we will support, in that cause so that, there's enough doctors to service the population. We don't have overworked doctors, and we also don't have people that are unsupervised in litigation. Another issue that we've got is that we've agreed that there is an underfunding from a baseline, and that is why your budget for employing always falls short. So we said that we're going to also approach Treasury and government along with them to say, let's fix this baseline budgeting for KZN because it is wrong. It is not taking into consideration the amount of population that's there.
We can't have unemployed doctors. It makes no sense to me.
It definitely makes no sense at all, but it is the reality. As you know, some of them are actually going to Nkosi Albert tomorrow. The adverts were out. They're going to be doing written assessments for those posts. And the sad part is with the unemployed doctors, because most of them are juniors, they can't even find employment even in private sector because private sector expects you to have certain other qualifications like your ATLS, your PALS, which they don't have. So they truly, truly are unemployed. There was one story where one doctor was actually working as a cashier because that was the only way to actually get money to feed their family. So it's actually worse for the juniors who can't even go into private because they don't even have those little diplomas that would assist and let them work in casualties and things like that.
I've heard of stories, and it came up earlier when we were talking to one of the seaters about how AI is changing the way doctors are working. I see there's new medicines being invented because of the technology and how fast it can work. Are we embracing, as the medical fraternity in South Africa, are we embracing this new technology?
We definitely are. That was actually the theme of our provincial launch, where the MEC was. We were looking at AI and its implications across various spheres, so from diagnosis to radiology and scans, all the way to even scripting. The meeting actually had us with a virtual assistant being designed live in front of us on that day. So it was actually quite fascinating. So we are embracing it. A few concerns were raised because you know that, it's going to take its knowledge base from what's out there. So how do we take out the junk science that's out? And how do we ensure that people don't substitute it for their medical knowledge? The prescription part, we were also a bit concerned because there is certain drugs that interact with each other, that can't be prescribed together, where you also have to adjust dosages. So we were looking at all of that, but, from what we've been told, you literally can ensure that you build the system to be locally responsive. So it can put in your own treatment guidelines from the local areas. It can use your own values because we all know values are not the same for, Europeans versus Africans. We do have different, thresholds. So it's actually quite exciting, and it looks like it could make medicine, much more faster, effective. But at the end of the day, I think what we all agree is that the doctor will be the gatekeeper so that we do not have patients now going and thinking that Dr. Google is going to solve their problem.
Dr. Zanele Bikicha, thank you very much. The SA Medical Association's Vice Chairperson.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
To start with an update coming out of Daveyton, an earlier crash on the N12, which was holding things up towards Pitfontein Road, still is a bit slow as you approach that particular one. Traffic on the M1 North between Bayers Nordia and Malabongwe. There's a crash there, and then a delay just past Malabongwe as you line up through towards the four-ways off-ramp. N14, this is one we've been telling you to avoid this morning with good reason. There's a really big backlog, Pretoria bound on the Krugersdorp Highway, going up to the M1 Bruckfontein interchange, off-ramp at the R55, Pretoria West exit to avoid the worst of of that inconvenience this morning. The N1, Rigel Avenue down to Borta Avenue being held up there by an earlier crash scene. Now, crossing to Durban, that breakdown that we had and told you it had finally been cleared from the N2 North at Mshlanga. So that traffic just sort of working its way through there. Still a little bit slow, but of course the big backlog's gone now that the obstruction's gone. And driving to Cape Town, still a fairly heavy run through towards the city centre. The N1's got some pressure between Kilbasson around N1 City, all the way through to the elevated freeway, the M2 from Langa, the M5 at Rondebosch, and the M3 coming up to Paradise Road, and then through to Hospital Bend. Quite a busy set of highways this morning, and still fairly misty around the Brackenfell area. So just watch for conditions there. Make sure you got your lights on if it's misty and you're driving carefully when you arrive. And a crash between Somerset West and Stellenbosch, R44 North, queuing into that scene just by Annandale Road. Rob Byrne, SAFM Traffic.
Do you know what's hiding behind the colourful packaging of unhealthy food? Big food companies target children with unhealthy packaged foods that hide high levels of sugar, salt and fat, which could lead to heart disease, diabetes and hypertension. But the truth is hidden from consumers. Front of package warning labels are a proven solution to help consumers make informed decisions. The government must act now. We have the right to know what's in our food. Demand front of package warning labels. Sign the petition on heala.org, HEALA.org, by the 30th of September.
Mr. Govender, congrats on the retirement. You just sold your car to We Buy Cars. Tell us about it.
Yes, it just gathered dust in the garage, so I exchanged it for cold hard cash. Now my wife and I can enjoy a stress-free retirement.
Retiring the car as you retire. Nice. So why We Buy Cars?
It was so quick. They came over to our house to do the evaluation, and we sold it the same day. Tops, man.
Okay, so now you got even more time on your hands, eh?
Exactly.
We Buy Cars. Geared for your next chapter. Geared for you.
Call us on 086 000 2032.
All right, we got 6 minutes. Let's get through some calls. Chowell in Mthatha, go ahead.
Hello, my brother.
Yes.
Yes, I want on the issue of the general. Look, as South Africans, we need to sit and analyze. Basically, what is happening here, when you put new components on an old engine, obviously the old components of that engine are going to be exposed and die off. That's what is happening in this GNU. Because basically here are the effects of a dying ANC that is leading that GNU. I'm raising this on the issue of the generals. Mm-hmm. And as South Africans, ours is to sit and analyze and take an informed decision when we go to the polls. Because in the ANC, it's just the last kicks of a dying horse. You can see that the Senate doesn't hold. You can't be having somebody who goes out there to another country and speaks on diplomatic relations, because what he said there affects the diplomatic relations between ourselves and the U.S. when we're trying to clinch a deal. And his principals are saying they were not aware. They are not aware of the visit. They are not aware of what he was going to say. Clearly, the Senate doesn't hold. Yep. So this is the legacy of a dying ANC.
Joel in Mthatha, thank you very much. I also find it very difficult to understand how the senior government officials didn't know he was there. Andy in Middleburg, talking about magistrates.
Yes, good morning,
John.
I just listened to the callers who were against the increase of magistrate salary. I'm a magistrate.
Yes.
I feel a pain, John, because the members of the public I think that we all take pride, which is not the case. Members of the public must please come forward with the magistrates to take pride. By the way, there is something that I would like to inform the public here. They must avoid being scammed by the attorneys, because attorneys use them to collect more fees, and in the process they tell them that this much will come to me and that much will go to the magistrate. When an attorney tells a member of the public and say that, what I'm trying to say is that when an attorney asks for the fee, saying that he is going to take some money to the magistrate, the member of the public must ask the attorney, I want to go to the magistrate. I want to see that this money is going to the magistrate. It's such a pain to be accused. Some of us sleep at around 1 o'clock in the morning, typing judgment. We apply so much energy on this thing because some of us, it's our calling. We love the public. We love to do our work. So it's such a pain when we hear of negative statements from the members of the public like this, when they are being played by the attorneys.
It's why I wanted that voice note to call so that we can delve into the details and find out exactly what's happening. If somebody does think that a magistrate's on the take, Andy, what do they do?
No. You can't just say you think that a magistrate takes a bribe. You need to have evidence.
Yeah. Well, what should they do? Do they report it to the police?
They must report to the police and also to the Magistrates Commission.
Okay.
It's simple as that. You understand, John? Because the attorneys, or let me not say attorneys, let me say some of the attorneys are ruining the legal profession and in the process are destroying the justice system. Because in the end, it will lead to a situation whereby some members of the public who do not have the money do not get justice, of which is not supposed to be like that. You understand, John? So this is very concerning. And let me make one example as to why I say it's attorney.
Very quickly.
Although I'm worried about the time. You know, I once presided over a case here. And this case was investigated by the Gauteng Provincial Task Team. One of those cases where some criminals explode ATMs, and it was an entrapment. Okay, let me go straight to the point.
Yeah.
I did bail coincidentally.
Yes.
And fortunately, let me put it that way, I denied bail. And I saw prosecutors smiling and the investigators smiling, and I was wondering what is going on here. Few days later, another attorney, other than the one who was doing a bail application, comes to me. He says to me, you know what? I'm in trouble here. The family members of the accused want me to appeal. But when I went to listen to the record and listen to a judgment, I do not have grounds of appeal. And the members of the the families of the accused are complaining, say, we gave this much to that attorney. And that attorney said that he was going to give another money to the magistrate. So this whole thing is blended with lies in most cases. Because I doubt that there is any public member who will come forward and say, I went to a judge, I went to a magistrate and gave him or her the money.
All right, Andy.
They must expose the attorney.
We need to wrap it up, but highlighting a big issue there. Andy in Middelburg, as you heard, is a magistrate. And don't confuse the matters. If there is any money being moved around, report it. Report it to the police. But then you will tell me, do the police follow up on those investigations? Great question. Okay, it's been lekker to be with you today. Thank you very much for joining me. We'll do the Thursday edition between 6 and 9 tomorrow. Kathy's up next.
In our top stories, 2 suspects arrested over attempted robbery of MPs, and Human Rights Watch claims on M23 rebels' alleged massacre. Good morning. Police in the Western Cape say the 2 suspects arrested in connection with the attempted robbery of 3 DA members of Parliament in Philippi on the Cape Flats are facing charges including attempted murder. The arrests were made last night and this morning. This followed an attempt to hijack the MPs when they were returning from an oversight visit of a police station. Police spokesperson Novela Potelwa.
As part of an investigation into an attack on 3 members of Parliament in Philippi on Tuesday afternoon, Western Cape Serious Violent Crime detectives have arrested a 16-year-old in the early hours of Wednesday morning. This brings to 2 the number of suspects arrested for the crime incident. The first one is under police guard in hospital after he was arrested on Tuesday evening. The 2 suspects face attempted murder and attempted hijacking charges.
The Alexandra Magistrates Court in Johannesburg is today expected to deliver judgment in the bail application of the accused in the DJ Somebody murder case. Katiso Katie Mulife is accused of ordering a hit on the celebrity DJ whose real name is Opa Sifoka. Horisani Sitole reports.
Katiso Katie Mulife and 3 others have been charged with the murder of DJ Somebody and his 2 bodyguards, Busiso Mukwena and Sandile Mjeza. The 3 alleged hitmen are Michael Puletau, Musa Kekana, and Diego Floyd Mabusela. Mulife was previously granted bail by the High Court in a separate case involving the murder of an engineer and whistleblower, Armand Swart. Mulife's lawyer says, while this court is not bound by the High Court's decision, Mulife adhered to all bail conditions until his arrest.
Police in Mpumalanga have confirmed the 2 people arrested in connection with the murder of Sergeant Lawrence Tshwane have abandoned their bail application. They appeared in the Nkomazi Magistrates Court yesterday. Tshwane was shot while responding to a robbery on a business premises in Skumansdal. Police have launched a manhunt for 3 other suspects. The 2 accused will be back in court on the 2nd of October. Families of the Life Esidimeni victims say prosecuting those found accountable for only 2 deaths is unacceptable. This after the National Prosecuting Authority informed the Families Committee there was insufficient evidence to pursue more cases. Last year, an inquest in the High Court in Pretoria found the former Gauteng Health MEC, Qedani Mahlangu, and the former Mental Health Directorate Head, Makhabu Manamela, responsible for the deaths of the patients, some from malnutrition and dehydration. Judge Mnowatefu ruled the 2 were negligent. Committee member Christine Umalo.
Our concerns as family members is that from 144 to basically to 9 and now to 2, what really changed, what was happening there? And when we inquired, they basically said that the evidence from the SAPS, the fact that they are prosecuting based on the information they got from the SAPS. And we obviously as families were not very happy because we work very closely with SAPS regarding this matter.
Human Rights Watch says it's compiled evidence that Congolese M23 rebels killed at least 140 civilians last month. The alleged massacre near Virunga National Park would be one of the deadliest attacks by M23 rebels in more than 3 years. The BBC's Barbara Platt-Usher has the details.
The mass killings are said to have taken place amongst farmers camping in their fields during planting season, apparently victims of an M23 campaign against an armed group of the same Hutu ethnicity. The M23 strongly denied the UN report, but Human Rights Watch spoke to witnesses who said the accounts were true, that the men were killed in the fields, that many of the women and children were marched to a river and executed there, and that the killing took place over a wider area than the UN had initially reported and went on for longer.
Recapping the top story, police in the Western Cape say the 2 suspects arrested in connection with the attempted robbery of 3 DA members of Parliament in Philippi on the Cape Flats are facing charges including attempted murder. For SFM News, I am Anne Musa.
SAFM celebrates its 89th birthday this month by giving listeners an exclusive opportunity to attend the prestigious Joy of Jazz taking place at the Sandton Convention Centre from the 26th to the 28th of September 2025. To stand a chance to win these sought-after tickets, simply SMS SAFM 89 followed by your name to 41391 and stay tuned to SAFM as we could be calling you. SAFM is the official media partner for the Dipala stage at the Standard Bank Joy of Jazz. Entries open from the 7th of August and close on the 31st of August 2025. Winners will be randomly selected and called from the 1st of September 2025. SMSs are charged at R1.50 per SMS. Free SMSs and SMS bundles do not apply. T's and C's apply. Gender-based violence is destroying lives and tearing communities apart. It happens in homes, in schools, at workplaces, and too often in silence. But it doesn't have to continue. If you see it, speak out. If you are hurting, reach out, because doing nothing is not an option. Listen to all 19 SABC radio stations from Wednesday, the 23rd of July for hard talk, discussions, advice, dramas, educational shows and interviews around GBV with experts, survivors, lawmakers and a whole country affected by gender-based violence. All on your favorite SABC radio station. Call 0800 428 428 to report abuse or get help. GBV, it ends with you. This message is brought to you by the SABC.
SAFM has signed a code of conduct that is enforced by the Broadcasting Complaints Commission of South Africa. Under the code, we are committed to giving news that is accurate, comment that is fair, and programming that is not harmful, does not amount to hate speech, or contain violence or explicit sex. If you think we are not living up to that code, then you can inform the Broadcasting Complaints Commission of South Africa. Direct any complaints in writing to the Broadcasting Complaints Commission of South Africa. PO Box 142365. Craig Hall 2024. Fax to 011-326-3198 or an email to bccsa@nabsa.co.za. For more information, please visit www.bccsa.co.za.
This Women's Month, SAFM stands with the women shaping South Africa's future. Under the theme, Building Resilient Economies for All, we honor the pioneers, the problem solvers, and the everyday heroes driving change. Stay tuned as SAFM brings you powerful stories and meaningful conversations that move us. SAFM, celebrating women, celebrating progress. SAFM, leading the conversations that move us. The Morning Brief.
What do you believe makes progress that slow and difficult? Is it a sense of the further we move away from the lessons of Marikana, the more lax an attitude we take to the issues, the underlying socio-economic issues that it raised?
Marikana was just an eye-opener to South Africans, but because it happened to the section of the class of the workers, of which all you media people, you are labeling workers as criminals, people who are uneducated, who want 12,500 being not educated. So, but now the chickens are coming home to roost to everyone. This concomitant action is clearly on the economy now. It's no longer about Marikana massacre now. Our tolerance level as South Africans is so very high. Until it's becoming low, maybe the revolution will start. Because we cannot continue like this.
Joseph Matundra, the AMCU president.
Tulasizwe Simelane on the Morning Brief.
If you're active on social media and love SAFM, we hope you'll take a moment to like or follow our SAFM page on Facebook and Twitter. These are the best places to find all the guest information, conversations, and stories you love from your favorite presenters, along with regular updates from SABC News. And don't forget, you can send your questions to feedback@safm.co.za. SAFM, leading the conversation. Here, there, and everywhere. SAFM 104.4 FM in Hermanus.